Chapter 880. An army of 100,000 was stationed in the mountain near the altar all year round. They were the Asmodean Lord's army. Anyone that dared to come close, including a master, would be attacked. Luli and Yicha sneaked out of the mountain. From the distance, they could see the dark clouds and the cold air. It made them shiver as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. This was not an average cold air. It was cold and gloomy. But the coldness was not what mattered. What mattered was that they could hear a strange roar from the distance. Hoot, hoot, the roar was like that of an elephant or a child crying at night. It was not loud, but it was intermittent. It was enough to make people shiver and uncomfortable. Yicha, patrol outside. Alert me if anything happens. Luli took a look and decided to take action. Yicha nodded and snuck away. Luli used psychic power to check the wicked bead. He told the 10 patriarchs and the 5 Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves to be ready at any time. Okay, let's go. Luli yelled. He flew up to the sky like a mad dragon. His bead of life came out and the feather wind castle came into being. He did not rush in rashly. Instead, he kept on gathering feather wind. He could do it fast. In the time for a dozen breaths, the feather wind castle was filled with feather wind. Whoosh, 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 many warriors in the mountain were alarmed. Groups of black-armored warriors flew up and many powerful warriors checked Luli with psychic power. A human! It is Luli, the human Emperor Luli. How did Luli get in? How can he be at the altar? Inform the Asmodean Lord, now. Some of the Asmodeans recognized Luli. When the news spread out, many Asmodeans were shocked. They were in a dilemma, terrified. Charge! Luli flew the feather wind castle into the altar. Dozens of dragons of wind whooshed out and enveloped nearly 10,000 Asmodeans. Like moths engulfed in flames, the soldiers fell to the ground in droves. The average Asmodeans were not powerful. Even the most elite Asmodeans had warriors of the noble Lord realm at best. How could they resist the feather wind? The devils that fell down did not die. Many of them just fainted. That being said, Luli was not in the mood to kill the average Asmodeans. He flew the feather wind castle to the center of the altar where there was a dark cloud. That was where the dragon demon's strange cries were coming from. Luli wanted to kill the dragon demon. This was his most important goal. It didn't matter if he didn't kill a single one of the other devil soldiers. His goal was very clear, and the experts of the fiend race were also aware of his goal. He wants to kill the holy beast. Quickly stop him. The sacred beast is the great demon god's treasure. Even if we all die, we must protect the sacred beast. Everyone rush forward, the great demonic god will be back soon, we have to hold them off for a while. Charge, charge, many powerful Asmodeans bellowed. If Luli could kill the dragon demon, then the Asmodean Lord's efforts would be in vain. When the Asmodean Lord came back, they would all die. Since they were going to die anyway, they might as well be killed by Luli now. In this way, they could try their best to save the sacred beast. Groups of human sovereign realm Asmodeans and Earth Immortal Realm warriors dashed toward Luli in a frenzy. All kinds of attacks were launched at Luli. The sky was filled with dark glares. More Asmodeans were trying to break into the feather wind castle through space. However, even though Luli's feather wind castle had not transformed yet, it had made significant progress. The feather wind castle was about to materialize. Even if those Asmodeans blasted at the walls outside the castle, Luli could mend them in an instant. As for the Asmodeans that dashed in, they were all struck by soul attack. They were smashed to the ground like burnt flies. It was quite a spectacular scene. Those who stand in my way will die. Luli bellowed. Those human sovereign realm Asmodeans and Earth Immortal Realm warriors that fell to the ground would come up again soon. They were like flies and mosquitoes. Luli could not stop for even one moment or the feather wind castle would be destroyed. Luli was enraged. The wicked bead glowed as 10 patriarchs and 5 Earth Immortal Realm warriors came to him. He dispersed the feather wind around him so that the 15 would not be affected. "Kill them!" Pointing to the powerful Asmodeans, Luli ordered. At the same time, he tried his best to control the feather wind castle so that it would not be blocked. Although the workload was much greater this way, the lethality was suddenly very considerable. Boom, 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 the 15 Earth Immortal Realm warriors attacked with no scruples. Many powerful Asmodeans were enveloped by the dragons of wind. Defenseless, they were killed in an instant. Let's go. Many powerful Asmodeans nearby were either killed or wounded. Luli could not afford to waste any more time. If the Asmodean Lord came back, things would become tricky. He flew the feather wind castle toward the center of the altar. The strange noise was getting louder. Luli used psychic power to check, but could not see into the dark clouds. There seemed to be a strong formation in the dark clouds that could isolate psychic power. "Break the altar!" Luli bellowed. The 15 Earth Immortal Realm warriors poured out their attacks at the altar in a frenzy. There were many formation stones on the ground. After a while, the formation was destroyed. The dark clouds dispersed. Finally, Luli and the others were able to locate the dragon demon with psychic power. Hiss, hiss, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. A gigantic beast the size of a mountain was occupying the altar in the distance. The beast was over 1,000 feet long. It was like a mountain. Compared to the beast, humans were like mosquitoes. The size of the beast was overwhelming. The beast was covered with blood-red scales and fur. It had a pair of wings on its back. Its head was like that of a lion with a blood-red horn on its head. Its eyes were golden in color, glowing with coldness and cruelty. The beast did not look ferocious or horrifying. It was different from what Luli and the others had imagined. That being said, the beast gave Luli a horrifying feeling. Everything else aside, the chi and blood coming from the beast was suffocating, not to mention other aspects. The chi and blood of the beast were not like those of the Xian beasts of the Great Land, which were suffocating. The chi and blood of the beast were spooky. It was as if the beast came from the underworld and had the power of the god of death that could reap souls and take their lives. The Asmodean Lord is heartless. The monster's body was littered with broken limbs and bones. The severed limbs were very small, and so were the skeletons. These were obviously the skeletons of young children. The eastern land of oceans had sent over 200,000 young boys and girls. They must have been eaten by the dragon demon. The dragon demon had only eaten 200,000 young boys and girls, and it was already so big. How big would the dragon demon be after eating 490,000 young boys and girls? Luli and the others felt they could not defeat the dragon demon's chi and blood at the moment. When the dragon demon evolved to the peak, it might have the power of an immortal. "Charge!" Luli yelled. He knew the dragon demon was hard to kill, but this was his only chance. He shouted, "We must kill the dragon demon in an hour or we will be in big trouble." Chapter 881. Dragons of Wind. Luli yelled. The dozens of dragons of wind that he had prepared whooshed out and enveloped the huge beast. The other Earth Immortal Realm warriors were ready to attack. Swish, the dozens of dragons of wind were dancing in the sky. It was a spectacular scene. The Asmodeans nearby were terrified. Many of them had experienced the power of dragons of wind. If the dragon demon could not stand it, it would be killed. Whether it was humans, Asmodeans, Xian beasts or monsters, the soul was the most important. Once the soul was under attack, the defense of the warrior or the monster would be weakened. Just think about it. How big was the difference between active defense and no defense at all, relying on one's physical body to resist? However, to the surprise of the Asmodeans and Luli, dozens of dragons of wind whooshed out and enveloped the dragon demon. However, the dragon demon only shook its head but did not react. The dragon demon was confused, wondering what Luli was doing with the gale. What is going on? Luli and the other Earth Immortal Realm warriors looked at each other in astonishment. The soul attack contained in the feather wind was strong. Did the dragon demon not have a soul? That was not right. How could such a powerful beast not have a soul? The more powerful a beast was, the more intelligent it would be. Luli and the others were dumbfounded. They did not know what to do. Among them, Luli's feather wind attack was the strongest. Even the Asmodean Lord could be affected. According to the original plan, the dragon demon could only be killed when the feather wind was under attack. But the feather wind was useless. Could they kill the horrifying dragon demon by working together? I don't believe it. Once again, Luli generated dozens of dragons of wind. The dozens of dragons of wind merged together in midair and formed a huge dragon that whooshed toward the dragon demon. Hoot, hoot! The dragon demon was not frightened to see a huge dragon coming. The dragon demon merely flapped its wings. A glint of confusion rose in its golden eyes. Swish, the huge dragon whooshed over and enveloped the dragon demon. Back in the days, even the Asmodean Lord could not stand this dragon. The soul attack inside was horrifying. Still, the dragon demon showed no reaction. This time, even Luli was panicking. Was the dragon demon so strong that it was not afraid of any soul attacks? There's no other way. Attack! Luli waved his hand. Almost at the same time, everyone released their most powerful attacks. Luli used the Rising Dragon skill and the others used their most powerful Profound Meanings or Bloodline attack. Chi in midair, a huge golden claw appeared. Apart from Feather Wind, Luli's strongest attack was his Bloodline skill, Blood Claw. The June family's ninth elder unleashed a giant black skeletal hand, Elder Lei unleashed a bolt of the ninth heaven's thunder, and Elder Gu unleashed a tornado drill. Boom, boom, boom. A group of earthen immortals unleashed their strongest attacks, and it was a terrifying sight to behold. It was as though a mirror had been shattered and countless spatial cracks spread out in every direction. The destructive aura filled the surroundings, making those demon soldiers vaguely feel that doomsday was coming. Hoot, hoot! This time, the dragon demon sensed the danger. It had been lying still on the ground. All of a sudden, the dragon demon stood up. Its fur began to sway rhythmically. The dragon demon's fur glowed red, as if it was covered by a layer of blood armor. Boom, 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 boom. Horrifying noises of explosion were heard. The aftermath of the explosions stirred up a cloud of dust that blocked the sight of the Asmodeans. Amidst the dust, the dragon demon bellowed in rage. The Asmodeans' eardrums were bleeding and their heads were buzzing. For a moment, they lost their hearing. Retreat, a commander of the devil race roared. He knew that the explosion would create a powerful shockwave that would kill many soldiers. Therefore, he shouted at his subordinate. But at this moment, those soldiers couldn't hear his voice at all. They all stood there in a daze. Very soon, they were all sent flying by the violent shock wave. Some of the weaker devils were killed by the shock wave. Hoot, hoot! The dragon demon's bellows were constantly heard. The sound was harsh to the ears. It was a testament to the dragon demon's anger. Oh no! Luli and the others felt their hearts were weighed down by the bellow. They checked with psychic power and found it hard to believe. More than a dozen Earth Immortal Realm warriors and Luli launched the most powerful attack, but the dragon demon did not suffer much damage. It did not even lose much of its fur. However, there was blood seeping out from many spots on the dragon demon's skin. The pungent smell of blood was nauseating. Hoot, hoot, hoot! The dragon demon raised its head and bellowed. Then, the red horn on its head glowed. A ray of blood-red light enveloped an area with a radius of 1,000 feet. Back off! Spread out! Luli yelled. The other Earth Immortal Realm warriors reacted faster. They stepped back to all sides. The red glow made them feel danger. Hoot, hoot! The dragon demon made a move. It spread its wings but did not fly over. Instead, the dragon demon dashed forward as fast as a ghost and approached the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors on the left. They were from the demon-slaying hall. Buzzing, the dragon demon's horn glowed red and enveloped the two Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves of the demon-slaying hall. What happened next terrified Luli and the others. The two Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves were running away. However, as if they were haunted by ghosts, they were frozen in midair with a red airstream around them. It was as if they were tied up by the red airstream. Not only could they not run away, they could not even attack. Hoot, hoot! The dragon demon dashed over, opened its mouth and swallowed the two patriarchs. The dragon demon chewed twice, and the two Earth Immortal Realm patriarchs turned into minced meat. Poof! The dragon demon seemed to think the two patriarchs' flesh was not tasty enough. The dragon demon spat them out. The dragon demon stared at Luli with its cold golden eyes, as if it was saying, Luli was younger and his flesh was tastier. Run, run to the south. Luli saw a ray of red light rushing over. He hesitated no longer. He gave up on the idea of killing the dragon demon. He took out the wicked bead at once and dashed into it. Whoosh! The wicked bead dashed over in a ray of cyan light. Soon, it caught up with the Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves and took them in. The dragon demon had been keeping an eye on Luli. A glint of confusion rose in the dragon demon's eyes as Luli disappeared. The dragon demon stood still on the spot. Luli took in more Earth Immortal Realm soul slave. The dragon demon was in a daze again. The dragon demon did not seem to have a high level of intelligence, could not figure out why it could not sense the presence of humans. Luli finally put his mind at ease when everyone was taken in. That being said, he was filled with guilt. He should have taken everyone in at once. The two patriarchs wouldn't have to die. Back then, he had fantasized about killing the dragon demon. How ridiculous it was now. Give up. Chapter 882. It had only been the time for one incense stick to burn since the fight began. Theoretically speaking, the Asmodean Lord should not be back so soon. It would take time to teleport to the Dubien city, and time for the Asmodean Lord to receive the message and teleport back. The round trip would take at least an hour. Think of something and try again. Luli noticed that the dragon demon was looking around in confusion. The dragon demon seemed to have low intelligence. Luli had an idea. Even if he could not kill the dragon demon, he must find a way to enrage it and make it attack the Asmodeans. In this way, he could create panic and instill fear in the Asmodeans. In this way, many would stop feeding the dragon demon. Whoosh! Luli flew the wicked bead over and smashed at the Asmodeans. Due to the high speed, several human sovereign realm Asmodeans could not dodge. They were smashed away and smashed into the dragon demon. Hoot hoot! The dragon demon glanced over. Though the human sovereign realm Asmodeans did not inflict any harm, the dragon demon still smashed several human sovereign realm Asmodeans to death. Little White. Luli flew the wicked bead over to the Asmodeans from behind. Seeing that the dragon demon did not react, Luli had another idea. He shouted to Little White, "Go out and bite it. But something is wrong. Come back now." Squeak, squeak. Little White raised its head proudly. Luli teleported it out and Little White bit at the dragon demon's rump. Hoot, hoot. Little White's teeth were so sharp that it bit off a piece of the dragon demon's flesh. Feeling the pain, the dragon demon bellowed in rage. The horn on its head glowed red. A red airstream came out from Little White. The dragon demon stopped moving. Oh no! Luli flew the wicked bead over at once. The wicked bead glowed. Little White paused in the air for a moment before it was taken back. Okay. Luli felt relieved. If Little White was killed, he would live in regret for the rest of his life. The dragon demon was surprised to see that Little White had disappeared. It seemed to be wondering where Little White had gone. How come it could not sense Little White's presence? Little White, are you okay? Luli held Little White in his arms. The airstream around Little White was thinning out. A moment later, Little White opened its eyes and screamed in excitement. Luli blinked in surprise and asked with uncertainty, "You still want to go out? Can you absorb this red gas?" Bam bam! Little White nodded happily. Luli was cheered up. The wicked bead could take back Little White and let it keep attacking. At this rate, the dragon demon might be wounded. Shio! The wicked bead flew to the back of the dragon demon. Little White came out and bit at the dragon demon's thigh. In the time for one breath, Little White had bitten off a human-sized piece of flesh. Hoot hoot! The dragon demon was enraged. The horn on its head glowed again. Little White was enveloped in a red glow and a red airstream came out. Luli took Little White back in time. The dragon demon did not have a high level of intelligence. The dragon demon suddenly turned around and stared at the wicked bead with its golden eyes. The dragon demon ignored the wicked bead and looked around. Clearly, it was searching for Little White. It seems that the dragon demon has just been born. Its intelligence is low. Or, the dragon demon is a beast with low intelligence to begin with? Luli flew the wicked bead over. Little White came out again, biting at the wounded thigh. Hoot hoot! Little White came out for the 9th time. Half of the dragon demon's thigh had been bitten off. The wrath in the dragon demon's eyes grew stronger. Since the dragon demon could not find Little White, it had to run around in rage. The Asmodeans around it suffered. They were crushed to death. There were many buildings around the altar which were leveled to the ground. This time, Luli did not let Little White bite the dragon demon. He noticed that the dragon demon's wound was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. It seemed that not even Little White could inflict serious damage to the dragon demon. I will have to lure the dragon demon to the Beijing city. Luli sighed. He flew the wicked bead toward the Beijing city and let Little White out. As soon as Little White came out, it began to provoke the dragon demon. Hearing Little White's voice, the dragon demon dashed over in anger. Buzzing! The wicked bead glowed constantly. Little White was let out and put back in again and again. The dragon demon would stop for a while and then dash off the altar. No, Luli is luring the holy beast to the Beijing city. Go to the Beijing city and report. Hurry, hurry! Many Asmodeans shouted. The Beijing city was home to many Asmodeans, and they were all nobles of the Asmodean race. The Beijing city was where generations of Asmodean lords resided. Only nobles of the Asmodean race were allowed to live here. If so many nobles were killed by the dragon demon, the Asmodeans would suffer a great loss. Unfortunately, even though the Asmodeans reacted fast, the dragon demon and Luli were faster. In the time for half an incense stick to burn, Luli had Little White to lure the dragon demon to the Beijing city. The Beijing city was large as the city of mystic armor. The city was old and majestic. The city wall alone was more than 1,000 feet high. But compared to the size of the dragon demon, the city wall was much smaller. Boom! The dragon demon was on a rampage. The city wall was smashed into pieces and several castles in the city collapsed. The dragon demon lifted its leg and stomped down. Every time it stomped, a castle would be smashed to pieces. Hoot, hoot, there were many children of noble Asmodeans in the city. The dragon demon swallowed them at once. After eating several Asmodean children, the dragon demon could no longer stop itself. It stopped chasing after Little White and went around looking for Asmodean children to eat. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon demon, which was over 1,000 feet tall, stood out like a crane among chickens. Every time the dragon demon lifted its leg, a castle would be crushed. The dragon demon dashed around, trampling over many castles. With a sweep of its tail, more castles would be leveled to the ground. Some nobles of the Asmodeans did not know what was going on. They thought the dragon demon was going on a rampage. They mobilized powerful warriors to attack the dragon demon, which further enraged the dragon demon. The Asmodeans bellowed. The dragon demon glared in red and swung its tail. Many Asmodeans were smashed away. The Beijing city had turned into hell. Luli looked on coldly from the wicked bead. He did not feel anything. He did not feel sorry for so many Asmodean children being devoured. Those who were not of the Asmodeans' race must have different intentions. The Asmodeans and humans were mortal enemies, irreconcilable hatred. The Asmodeans were always thinking about destroying the human race, killing them, enslaving them, torturing them. Those Asmodean children were not guilty. That being said, when they grew up, they would be like the other Asmodeans. They would kill every human they saw. They would be cruel and would love to eat human flesh. It was like a group of tiger cubs. At the moment, they might seem harmless and cute. But when they grew up, they would become ferocious beasts that would kill anyone they saw. To Luli, the Asmodeans were no different from tigers. Would Luli feel anything when Asmodean charged into a group of tigers, killed many and ate many tiger cubs? Buzzing, an hour later, the Beijing city had turned into hell. In the distance, a castle glowed. Finally, the Asmodean lord had come back. Luli knew it was time. He could not stay and watch anymore. Otherwise, under the control of the Asmodean lord, the dragon demon would attack the wicked bead. Let's go! Chapter 883. Luli, Luli, ah, I am going to kill you, ah! A furious roar was heard in the white capital. The roar was filled with rage, hatred, and grievance. As a matter of fact, the Asmodean lord had noticed something was wrong as soon as he arrived at the Dubian city. He could tell that Chuan Jing and Watanabe were under someone's control and that there was a human warrior's soul energy in their souls. He showed no mercy. He killed Chuan Jing and Watanabe in an instant, which shocked the other leaders. When the powerful Asmodeans sent a message, the Asmodean lord teleported back at once. However, it would take some time. By the time he came back, the Beijing city had turned into hell. The Asmodean lord's family had dominated the eastern land of oceans for more than 100,000 years. During that time, the Asmodean lord's family had grown into a powerful force. Over half of the nobles in the Beijing city were related to the Asmodean lord. Now, the Beijing city had turned into hell. Over half of the Asmodeans were killed by the dragon demon and many children were eaten by the dragon demon, including many of the Asmodean lord's offspring. Under the Asmodean lord's guidance, the dragon demon had been well behaved. It never came out from the altar, not to mention hurting the innocent. But now, the dragon demon had come to the Beijing city for no reason and killed more than half of the Asmodean lord's family. More than half of the Asmodean lord's offspring had died. Some of his beloved great-grandchildren had become food for the dragon demon. Luckily, the Asmodean lord came back in time. Otherwise, in an hour, not a single Asmodean would be left in the Beijing city. They would all be killed by the furious dragon demon. Go back! The Asmodean lord bellowed. Some mysterious runes appeared in his eyes, and a surge of ferocious energy emerged. The dragon demon turned into a docile kitten and dashed toward the altar. Soon, the dragon demon settled down on the altar. Here is my order. The Asmodean lord bellowed, send my order. The human emperor, Luli, has snuck into the eastern land of oceans. Tell all the Asmodeans to stay alert and search for Luli. Also, tell the Asmodean army to seal off all the entrances to the demon-slaying battleground. Luli, if you dare to come to the eastern land of oceans, I will not let you go back. The human emperor, Luli? The Beijing city was in an uproar. Many people didn't know that Luli was here and they were terrified when they heard the news. The Motherf * King Human Emperor had infiltrated the eastern land of oceans? This young human king was a peerless genius. Even the great demon god was no match for him. Tell all the Asmodeans that the dragon demon is a sacred beast summoned by me. After some time, I will lead the Asmodeans to breach the demon-slaying city, and occupy the great land. Also, tell the world that I am not afraid of Luli. Tell him to come and fight me if he has the guts. I will use the originator artifact to kill him. Also, those rumors were spread by Chuan Jing and Watanabe under Luli's control. I have killed those two scum. If anyone else dares to spread rumors, I will kill them. Tell the manor heads to control their subordinate. Kill anyone who dares to cause trouble. I'll give them another 1.5 months. If they can't complete the task by then, the manor heads will kill them all. Escort army, search for Luli. Orders were passed down. The Asmodean lord didn't care about the rumors and mobs at first. Now that he knew Luli was up to something, he had to pay more attention. This time, he almost caused a disaster. He would not allow something like this to happen again. The dragon demon was his hope to revive the Asmodeans. He could not allow it to die. It's okay, the dragon demon survived Luli's sneak attack. The Asmodean lord was emboldened to learn that the feather wind could not affect the dragon demon. The only thing Luli could rely on was the feather wind. Since he could not kill the dragon demon this time, he would not have another chance in the future. When the dragon demon grew up, it would be the end of the human race. 3 months. In 3 months at most, the dragon demon will be mature. By then, the dragon demon will be as powerful as an immortal. Not even the Emperor of Heaven Reverse could stop the dragon demon, let alone Luli. I, the Asmodean Lord, will rule the Heaven Reverse universe. The Asmodean Lord's blood-red eyes were glowing. He grinned a wicked smile, which sent chills down the Asmodeans' spines. We are in big trouble. Luli was hiding in a super mountain hundreds of thousands of miles to the east of the Beijing city in the Wicked Bead. He did not go out rashly. He sat in the Wicked Bead, which floated in a cave that was 2 miles underground. In addition to Luli, Patriarch Lei and Uncle Nine of the Jun family were frowning as well. Bai Qiushue and Jiang Qiling were sitting on the side. Their faces were clouded with worry. They could not kill the dragon demon, which meant that none of the human race could defeat the dragon demon. Not even Lu Renhuang and Patriarch of Law Enforcement could help. What was more, the dragon demon was still growing. After this incident, the Asmodean Lord would find a way to capture young boys and girls to feed the dragon demon. In a few months, the dragon demon would grow to a horrifying level. By then, not even dozens of semi-god realm warriors from the 9 universes could save the dragon demon. It was said that the dragon demon was summoned from the region of doom. What kind of place was the region of doom? Luli did not know. But to be able to breed such a horrifying monster, it must be something like the divinity. In other words, the dragon demon was like an immortal. Mortals could not fight against such a monster. Once the dragon demon was powerful enough, it would be the end of the great land. I have to figure something out. Luli forced himself to calm down. The more anxious he was, the worse the situation would be. Only by staying calm could he find a way out. I cannot kill the dragon demon for now. Then, I will have to find a way to kill the Asmodean Lord. Luli thought about it and came up with a solution that was not really a solution. Only the Asmodean Lord could control the dragon demon. What was more, the dragon demon was not intelligent. As long as no one provoked it, it would not attack. Therefore, as long as the Asmodean Lord could be killed, the dragon demon would not pose too much of a threat in the short term. The problem was how to kill the Asmodean Lord. The Asmodean Lord had the spatial transference profound meaning. If Luli could not kill the Asmodean Lord in an instant, there was no other way. I am not strong enough. Luli shook his head. His feather wind castle had made some progress, but it was not much stronger. Judging from the last time he fought the Asmodean Lord, he could not kill the Asmodean Lord. Cultivate. Luli made up his mind. He must cultivate for a month. He must integrate the last diagram and see if the feather wind castle could improve by leaps and bounds. If not, then he did not know what to do. 1 month. I hope the dragon demon will not grow too fast. Luli prayed to himself. According to his speculation, the Asmodeans of the eastern land of oceans would put up some resistance since the dragon demon had killed so many people in the Beijing city and eaten so many Asmodean children. Would the Asmodeans of the eastern land of oceans offer young boys and girls? At the very least, the Asmodeans would try to buy some time. In this way, the dragon demon's growth would slow down. 1 month should not be a problem. What Luli did not know was that the Asmodean lord had given his order. At the moment, children were being sent to the Beijing city from the eastern land of oceans. The dragon demon was growing at a horrifying speed. P.S. Monday, send me some recommendation tickets. I still owe you some chapters. Remember, I will make them up. I have a lot to do today. Chapter 884. How can I integrate the line diagram? That was a problem that had been bothering Luli recently. He had been cultivating in the wicked bead every day. Apart from cultivating Xian energy and taking control of the wicked bead, he spent the rest of his time thinking about this problem. He was trying to figure out a way to integrate the last diagram. Unfortunately, the line diagram was not a jigsaw puzzle that could not be put together by force. This was what confused Luli. The 15 small diagrams were learned from one big diagram. In other words, they were separated from the big diagram. The first 14 diagrams could be integrated easily, but the last one could not be integrated. Time flew by when he was in closed-door cultivation. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. Still, Luli had gained nothing, which made him more and more anxious. When people were impatient, they would not be able to calm down. They would not be able to think of a solution, which was a vicious cycle. This was unavoidable. Not even a saint could do this. 5 days later, Luli opened his eyes. He knew that he would not be able to learn anything at this rate. On the contrary, he would develop mental barriers and he would be doomed. He planned to rest for a few days and take a walk around. Maybe, by chance, he could be inspired and solve his current problem. Luli looked at Bai Qiuxue and Jiang Qiling in the inner hall. They were cultivating. He did not wake them up. He planned to go out and have a walk by himself. What? All of a sudden, Luli noticed that Bai Qiuxue's breaths were faster. Even so, Luli noticed it. However, Bai Qiuxue did not open her eyes. It seemed that she was still cultivating. Luli's heart warmed up. He put on a smile. Bai Qiuxue was not cultivating. She was just pretending to be. Luli could tell what she was trying to do. Bai Qiuxue was afraid that she could not hide her worries. That was why she pretended to be cultivating so that Luli would not be pressured. For the sake of my 3 lovely wives, I must learn the line diagram. I must kill the Asmodean lord and protect the great land. Luli swore to himself. He was determined. His body flashed and appeared outside. Just like that, he walked alone in the cave and headed out. He did not use any dark force and only relied on his physical body to walk. The aura in his body was completely restrained and he walked slowly like an ordinary person. Outside the cave was a stretch of mountains with numerous ravines. There were many Xian beasts here, but they were all suppressed by the qi and energy of Luli and the others, so they didn't dare to come closer. Whoosh! Luli leaped up to the peak of a mountain and gazed into the distance from there. The wind on the peak was strong, making Luli's hair and robe flutter. Luli looked around blankly, frowning. Clearly, he was still thinking about how to integrate the line map. Let's walk around. Luli stood there for a moment and then flew down to another mountain. This time, he didn't fly. Instead, he walked into the mountain step by step. There were rolling mountains nearby. Luli ran into many Xian beasts along the way. However, as soon as he revealed his qi and energy, those Xian beasts all ran away in fear. Hillsides, canyons, ravines, valleys, rivers, abysses. Luli wandered around in the mountains for 3 to 4 days. He had explored more than half of the mountains nearby. The Xian beasts were chased away by him all over the mountains. On the 6th day, Luli arrived at a ridge. There was a huge rock that stretched all the way to the peak. When he saw the dragon-shaped rock, he suddenly had an idea. This rock looks like a jigsaw puzzle. The rock was full of cracks. Luli did not know how the cracks came into being, and the rock was divided into dozens of pieces. But from the distance, the rock seemed to be a hole, stretching to the peak like a huge dragon. This was similar to Luli's line map. Luli was inspired. He stood on the rock on the ridge and studied it for 2 hours. Then, he dashed to the peak. There were several trees on the peak. Luli generated a ray of sword energy and hacked at the trees. He cut off a small piece of wood from the tree. Then, he took out a dagger and divided the wood into 15 pieces, turning it into a jigsaw puzzle. He began to piece the wood together. Since his dagger was sharp, the cuts were neat. It was not difficult for him to put the pieces together. When the pieces were glued together, they felt like a complete piece of wood. Luli's eyes were misty. He took the pieces apart and put them back together again and again, over and over again. He was like an idiot who had found his favorite toy, the sunset. The glow of the setting sun dyed half of the sky red. The red light shone on the side of Luli's face. There were red dots on his eyebrows. But his starry eyes were filled with confusion. Night came. The wilderness was in darkness. Luli was still sitting on the peak, putting the pieces together again and again. Then, he would separate them and put them back together again. It was winter at the eastern land of oceans. There was frost at night. Frost was forming on Luli's hair, eyebrows, and face. But he did not mind it. He continued to put the pieces together mechanically. Time moved on. There was a ray of light in the east. It was dawn. For the first time, Luli moved his eyes away from the wooden board and looked at the ray of light in the east. There was still frost on his eyebrows, but his eyes were glaring as if there was a ball of fire dancing in them. Jigsaw puzzle? No, this is not a jigsaw puzzle. I have been treating the line diagram as a jigsaw puzzle. I have to put them together one by one. I was wrong, very wrong. The line diagram is not a picture. It is a profound meaning. It is the truth of heaven and earth, the law of heaven and earth. How can I put it together? How can I put it together? I have always thought that the line diagram is just a picture. I was wrong, it is not a picture. It is the derivation of the truth of heaven and earth, or the essence of the law of heaven and earth. This is the line diagram. It is the source of profound meanings, the essence of profound meanings. It is something more powerful than profound meanings. All profound meanings have a line diagram. It is just that warriors do not know about it. Low-level profound meanings can evolve into high-level profound meanings because the line diagram has become complicated and abstruse after expansion. For example, Ming Yu's force only had one small picture. But his space-sealing profound meaning had 4 or 5 pictures. He did not know about the existence of the line diagram. He just learned it by chance. The line diagram is a treasure. As long as I can figure out the line diagram of profound meanings, I can expand the line diagram and evolve the profound meanings. From the 3rd rank to the 4th, to the 7th, to the 9th rank. I get it. I finally get it. Ha ha ha. Luli laughed like a lunatic on the peak. His laughter shook heaven and earth, echoing in an area with a radius of 30 miles. But he had no worries. This was because he was 100% confident that he would be able to fuse with the great sky diagram of the lines. Closed-door cultivation. Luli did not go back to the wicked bead. He sat with his legs crossed on the peak to cultivate. Now that he had understood it, the rest was easy. He had learned the 15 small pictures. It would not take him long to integrate them. Chapter 885. As a matter of fact, Luli did not know what the line diagram represented. If the crippled Zen master and Inqingxi were here, they would be able to help him. The line diagram was actually an origin true meaning. It was an existence that surpassed profound meanings. To be able to learn the origin fundamental principle meant that a new door had been opened, a path to the heavens. Of course, it was not because Luli was talented that he could learn the origin fundamental principle so easily. It was just because he was blessed with luck. It was all thanks to Emperor Heng that he could learn the origin fundamental principle. Luli learned the line diagram from the feather wind in the forbidden ground of Elder God. After all, it was left behind by Emperor Heng. Luli only received the teachings and legacy of Emperor Heng. As for why Emperor Heng chose Luli, not even the crippled Zen master knew. What is that? Dozens of miles away from Luli, a team of Asmodeans was moving forward. Luli's laughter alarmed them. It was a team of scouts. The Asmodean lord had ordered to search for Luli all over the world. The eastern land of oceans was filled with scouts. It was not surprising that there were scouts in the mountains. As a matter of fact, Luli had run into scouts a couple of days ago, but he dodged them easily. Let's go. The leader of the scouts was at the peak of the noble lord realm. He waved his hand and the scouts snuck toward Luli. Humans! It is the human emperor, Luli. Soon, the scouts found Luli. Since Luli didn't even try to hide himself, the scouts found him after a quick check. Fall back. Even though Luli was cultivating at the peak, the leader of the scouts did not dare to act rashly. Luli was the human emperor, a being that could defeat the Asmodean lord. It would be pointless for them to go against him. The leader of the scouts and the Asmodeans retreated for dozens of miles. He crushed a jade talisman to inform other powerful warriors nearby that Luli had been spotted. After the news spread, the nearby prefectures were in an uproar. When the chief learned that Luli was cultivating at the peak of a mountain, he came with more than half of his powerful warriors at once. At the same time, he sent someone to inform the Asmodean lord. After several rounds of teleportation, Zhuo arrived. He was absolutely loyal to the great demonic god. Even if he wasn't loyal to the great demonic god, he wouldn't hesitate in the face of the Monarch King Human King. After all, the human race was the mortal enemy of the devil race. Zhuo did not bring too many soldiers with him. He only brought over 100 warriors, one of whom was an Earth Immortal Realm warrior and the rest were human Sovereign Realm warriors. Moreover, there were also 5 elite ninja squads, and their assassination skills were the best in the world. According to the scouts, Luli was in closed-door cultivation. How could Zhuo miss such a good chance? If he could assassinate Luli, he would become a hero of the Asmodeans and his name would go down in history. Let's go. We must kill them in one strike. I'm counting on you all. Arriving at the edge of the mountain range, Zhuo waved his hand. He did not strike out personally. After all, this was the Monarch King Human King. If over 100 Asmodeans could not kill Luli, one more wouldn't make a difference. Over 100 powerful warriors went into the cracks in space and snuck toward Luli. When they got close to Luli, the more than 100 warriors spread out, ready to launch a surprise attack on Luli from all directions. Zhuo had sneaked over, but he was only 6 miles away from Luli. He hid on top of a mountain and kept an eye on Luli. Okay. He could tell that Luli had been in closed-door cultivation. His warriors had surrounded Luli and they were approaching. Zhuo was cheered up. It seemed that Luli was trying to break through to the next realm. There was no fluctuation in his chi and blood. It seemed that he didn't notice any Asmodeans approaching. If the nearly 100 Asmodeans were to get close and launch a surprise attack together, Luli would die for sure unless he had a relic armor. 2 miles, 1 mile, 1,000 feet. Still, Luli didn't do anything. Zhuo face was twisted with excitement. A historic moment was coming and it was Zhuo who was making history. How could he not be excited? 500 feet. An Asmodean Earth Immortal Realm warrior snuck out from a crack in space and shouted, "Charge!" Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Space was torn apart as one powerful Asmodean after another rushed out. Over 100 black swords were stabbed at Luli at the same time. The surging sword chi froze the space around. It was as if the scene had been frozen. That's right, it wasn't a fake freeze, but a real freeze. At that moment, Luli opened his eyes, which were filled with disdain. His bead of life came into being in his abdomen. The bead of life glowed and the space around him froze. Then, a cyan castle came into being and enveloped all the Asmodeans. Zhuotengying suddenly had a bad feeling. His eyes widened as he looked at the green castle in the distance. His face was filled with shock. Wasn't Lu Li's feather-wind castle translucent? How come it had changed so much? How come it looked like a real castle? It was as if there was a castle on the peak of the mountain, floating in midair. Zhuotengying tried to use psychic power to see what was going on inside. However, what happened next shocked him. His psychic power could pierce through the walls of the castle. It was quiet in the castle. Not a sound could be heard. It was as if the over 100 warriors were swallowed up in an instant. They couldn't even make a sound. Should I run or not? Zhuotengying was struggling. He was too close to Luli. Once he was targeted, he might not be able to leave. That being said, Zhuotengying hoped that Luli could not kill all of his warriors. After all, there were 5 teams of elite ninjas. Buzzing, after the time for a dozen breaths, the feather-wind castle glowed and vanished into thin air. What happened next shocked Zhuotengying. A figure fell from the sky. All of them had their heads crushed. It was as if they were headless flies that fell to the ground. Not a single one of them survived. Blood was spilled in the air. Under the sunlight, the blood was dyed red in the time for a dozen breaths. Over 100 warriors were killed. How fast was that? Those over 100 warriors were Zhuotengying's most powerful warriors. There was an Earth Immortal Realm warrior among them and 5 teams of elite ninjas. Yet, all of them died in the time for a dozen breaths. Instant kill. Instant kill without any resistance. Zhuotengying could not think of any other explanation. In that instant, none of the over 100 warriors put up any resistance. Luli crushed their heads one by one. It was as if a strong man was chopping at a flock of sheep with a saber. Too strong, too strong. Run. Without any hesitation, Zhuotengying dashed into the crack in the sky at once and fled into the distance. However, a meteor came and caught up with him in a moment. Then, Luli came out from the wicked bead. A castle appeared in the sky and Zhuotengying was forced out from the crack in the space. No, 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 that hurts. At this moment, Zhuotengying finally understood why over 100 of his warriors died so quickly and why none of them could escape. In the Feather-Wind Castle, space was sealed and there were powerful soul attacks. It was as if billions of golden needles were stabbing at his soul. Zhuotengying felt he had lost control of his body, let alone run away or fight back. Swish! Chapter 886. Not bad, not bad. After Zhuotengying was killed, Luli deactivated the Feather-Wind Castle. He stood in midair with pride, delighted. With the integration of the last diagram, his Feather-Wind Castle was finally completed. His abilities had improved by leaps and bounds. Now that the Feather-Wind Castle was materialized, psychic power could not be used, at least not by Earth Immortal Realm warriors. Luli did not know if Semi-God Realm warriors could do that. Theoretically speaking, it should not be possible. But that was not the point. The key was that the space inside the Feather-Wind Castle was sealed. Not even Earth Immortal Realm warriors could go through the space. Not even the Asmodean Lord could. In other words, once the Asmodean Lord was trapped in the Feather-Wind Castle, he would not be able to run away. Space was sealed. He could not tear apart space, which meant he could not teleport away. Also, the soul attack seemed to be stronger. Zhuotengying, a warrior at the later stage of the Earth immortal realm, could not even hold on for one breath. The line diagram is a high-level profound meaning. I have learned a big diagram and I have reached the middle stage of the human sovereign realm. I think I can reach the later stage of the human sovereign realm with one more diagram and then the Earth immortal realm. Luli nodded. Both his Xian energy and soul had reached the middle stage of the human sovereign realm. All he needed was to learn profound meanings. It was not surprising that his realm had improved after learning a diagram. Buzzing once again, Luli built the Featherwind Castle. He was satisfied with it. He took out the wicked bead and dashed in. Grand Master! Young Master! Saint Lord! The patriarchs and Earth immortal realm soul slaves bowed and looked at Luli with anticipation. Luli nodded with a smile. I have learned something recently. In a couple of days, I will go and deal with the Asmodean Lord. When the Asmodean Lord is dead, the dragon demon will be uncontrolled. We can take our time to find a way to kill it. Good. Patriarch Lei and the others were overjoyed. Luli was not one to make empty promises. He could not be wrong when he said he was confident. If the Asmodean Lord could be killed, then the dragon demon would be much easier to deal with. Luli ignored them and went into the inner hall alone. Bai Qiushue and Jiang Qiling were not cultivating. They were sitting together, whispering to each other about girls. They stood up and greeted Luli as soon as he came in. Luli put his arms around the two girls and said with a guilty tone, I have made you worry. Jiang Qiling squinted her eyes and said with a smile, Darling, have you made a breakthrough? And Luli nodded. This time, even if there are many at the initial stage of the semi-god realm, I will not be afraid. I have an 80% chance of killing the Asmodean Lord. Both Bai Qiushue and Jiang Qiling were surprised. The higher the level, the harder it would be for them to improve. It was so difficult to make a huge leap. Luli was only in his 20s and he could already kill semi-god realm warriors. He was no less talented than Emperor of Heaven Reverse. Autumn Snow's eyes were filled with pride. This was the man she had chosen. He was so outstanding, so powerful. Jiang Qiling thought about it, tilted her head and said, Darling, do you want to go to the Beijing city right now or rest for a day or two? You've been cultivating for so long. You must be tired. You should take a rest. Time was tight, so 1 or 2 more days would not make a difference. Luli had been exhausted both physically and mentally. He needed a good rest so that he could return to his peak state. Jiang Qiling closed the door at once. Her ring glowed and a mahogany bed with a pink veil appeared. Sister Ling Yu, Bai Qiushue blushed. She looked away, afraid to look at Luli. Jiang Qiling's foxy eyes were filled with flirtation and charm. She undressed Luli and said, Darling, thank you for your hard work. I can't help you much. I can only serve you well. Sister Qiushue, haven't you always wanted children? Maybe you can get pregnant this time. Ha ha ha. Luli's realm and abilities had improved. He was in a good mood. It had been a long time since he had made love to his wives. He carried Bai Qiushue in his arms and walked to the bed. Ha ha. Jiang Qiling followed him. She loosened the belt around her waist and took off her robe. She was only wearing a red undergarment, revealing her snow-white legs and shoulders. Seeing that Bai Qiushue's eyes were closed and she was shy, Jiang Qiling was intrigued. She began to undress Bai Qiushue with one hand and her other hand was caressing Bai Qiushue's breasts. Grunt, grunt. Even though Jiang Qiling was his wife, Luli still felt his blood boiling when he saw Jiang Qiling flirting with Bai Qiushue. He laughed and lay on the bed. He carried Bai Qiushue, who had been stripped naked, up and said to Jiang Qiling, Linger, come and serve me. Yes, your majesty. Jiang Qiling stuck out her tongue and crawled over like a kitten. Her eyes were filled with sensual desire, extremely seductive. They made love, lingering in every way. Luli fell asleep with the two of them in his arms. He opened his eyes after half a day. His energy was at its peak. He did not get up at once. Instead, he began to think about how to kill the Asmodean Lord. The battlefield could not be the Beijing city. After all, the dragon demon was there. The Asmodean Lord could control the dragon demon to kill Luli. Featherwind was ineffective against the dragon demon. Even if the Featherwind Castle had evolved, the dragon demon would not be lethal. The dragon demon was strong, and it could bind warriors in a strange way. If Luli was trapped by the red airstream, he would have to wait for death. Lure the great demon god out of the white capital and kill him. Luli made up his mind. He took out the map of the eastern land of oceans. The nearby prefectures were good places. It was neither too far nor too close to the white capital, and one could teleport there from a long distance. The dragon demon was gargantuan, even larger than the teleportation formation. It seemed that teleportation could not work. Thus, if he were to start a massacre here, the great demonic god could only send one person to support him. He was not afraid of fighting the great demonic god at all. I'll massacre the Zooting Mansion. If the great demon god doesn't come, I'll massacre everyone in the eastern land of oceans. Let's see if the great demon god can sit still then. Luli had made up his mind. As long as he did not go to the Beijing city, the Asmodean Lord would not be able to use the dragon demon to deal with him. Luli believed that the Asmodean Lord would not stand by and watch him wreak havoc at the eastern land of oceans. All right, let's go. Having made up his mind, Luli stood up and said something to his two wives, telling them to cultivate in there. Jiang Qiling was dissatisfied, but she knew where to draw the line. She didn't make a fuss. All of you, listen up. Luli walked out of the hall and said to the patriarchs, later, I will take you with me and kill our way. Do not stay more than 3 miles away from me. Kill all the warriors along the way. Don't kill the old, the weak, the women, the children, and the civilians. Killing them is pointless. Yicha, go to the Zooting City. If the teleportation formation connected to the Beijing city glows, go back and let me know. I will massacre the eastern land of oceans. Okay. Chapter 887. At the Zhua Tengying Prefecture City, the death of Zhua Tengying threw the city into a state of panic. Most of the powerful warriors in the city had gone with Zhua Tengying to kill Luli. Now all of them were dead. Zhua Tengxiong was Zhua Tengying's younger brother. He was ordered to stay at the Zhua Tengying city. Because of Zhua Tengying's death, Zhua Tengxiong became the new family master of the Zhua Tengying family. But Zhua Tengxiong was not happy. The Zhua Tengying family was in a precarious situation. Almost all the powerful warriors in the family were dead. He was trembling in fear as the family master. It was not only because Luli was in the Zhua Tengying prefecture, but also because the Zhua family had many enemies at the eastern land of oceans. Those enemies would not let the Zhua Tengying family go. Report! A horrified voice came from outside, scaring Zhua Tengxiong, who was sitting inside, to the point that his muscles were trembling. He kicked away the beautiful maidservant who was massaging his feet and stood up. He looked at the scout who had rushed in and asked, "What's the matter, Master?" The scout dropped to his knees and said in a sad voice, "There is news from the northern river city. Luli led a group of powerful human warriors to attack the city. All the warriors in the city were killed. Hundreds of thousands died. Luli is flying toward the Dragon Yi city. He left a message. He wants all the cities at the eastern land of oceans to be bathed in blood." What? Zhua Tengxiong's complexion greatly changed. His body was trembling because of fear. His lips trembled as he shouted, "Immediately report this to the great devil god and ask him to come and help. Quickly, quickly, quickly!" As soon as the scout left, Zhua Tengxiong shouted again, "Someone, send a message to the warriors of the Dragon Yi city. Tell them to evacuate." Spread out and evacuate the cities nearby. Not long after his order was sent out, another scout came in and said, Report, the Dragon Yi city has fallen. Luli is slaughtering the city with powerful human warriors. Report, Luli is slaughtering at the 8 household city. More than 500,000 people are dead or wounded. Report, the Plains city has fallen. In just over 2 hours, Luli had been sending back messages that he had conquered several cities. He teleported over directly. More than a dozen Earth Immortal Realm warriors took turns to kill. The warriors were so fast that they could kill thousands with one move each. Luli had given the order not to kill civilians. Otherwise, an Earth Immortal Realm warrior could level a city to the ground and kill everyone. Letters asking for help were sent to the White Capital like snowflakes, and the news spread across the entire ocean land of the East at a terrifying speed. All the demons were stirred up. The human race was wantonly slaughtering in the cities of the devil race. Moreover, they were slaughtering cities after cities. How insolent and arrogant was this! Not only were the low-level demons enraged and terrified, but the higher-ups of the demon race were also horrified and furious. Luli was only attacking small cities and killing low-level Asmodeans. That being said, low-level warriors were the foundation of the Asmodeans. If too many low-level warriors died, the Devil Clan would suffer a great loss. When those powerful warriors died of old age, there would be a gap in the Devil Clan. Many powerful and high-level Asmodeans gathered in the Beijing city, asking for an audience with the Asmodean Lord and asking him to kill Luli in person. Otherwise, all the Asmodeans of the eastern land of oceans would be wiped out by Luli. The great demon god was also furious, but the Asmodean Lord did nothing. He didn't meet anyone. He only sent a message to Luli to stop the killing, and in 3 days, he would fight Luli in person at the Zhuoting city. The Asmodeans were shocked when they heard the news. 3 days seemed to be a short time. However, Luli and the others were breaching the cities too fast. In 3 days, hundreds of cities would be breached and hundreds of millions of Asmodeans would be killed. Zhuoting Xiong felt like weeping when he heard the news. He had ordered many civilians to evacuate, but where could they go? Luli's wicked bead was fast. Could the low-level warriors run away? More importantly, Luli was killing his way to the prefectural city. He would arrive in a day. If Zhuoting Xiong didn't run away, the Zhuoting family would be doomed. If Zhuoting Xiong ran away, his authority as the chief would be tarnished. Many people were not convinced that he was the chief. In the future, he could no longer control the Zhuoting family. 3 days. Luli was doubtful. In 3 days, even if the dragon demon could run at full speed, it could not arrive. What was the Asmodean Lord up to? To be safe, Luli asked Chuan Pu to send many warriors to the major cities to monitor the road from the Beijing city to the Zhuoting family. The dragon demon was large in size and horrifying in energy. If the dragon demon were to rush over, it would not be able to hide from the warriors of the Chuan Pu county. Chuan Jing was killed by the Asmodean Lord. Chuan Pu had been with Luli, so he was not killed. He had some warriors with him. It was not a problem for them to sneak into the cities. What was more, Luli was not stupid enough to start a fight with the Asmodean Lord at the Zhuoting city. He had planned to kill his way to the Zhuoting city. But on second thought, he changed his route and went to the south. He was going to kill Asmodeans. It didn't matter if he killed the Asmodeans there. Along the way, Luli rarely took action. If there were powerful Asmodeans in his way, he would kill them and leave the rest to the patriarchs of the demon-slaying hall and the Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves. The patriarchs of the demon-slaying hall were thrilled. So many human warriors and powerful ones were killed by the Asmodeans at the demon-slaying battleground. 3 cities were razed to the ground. Now they could kill at the ocean land of the east. This experience was something that they could brag about for a long time. They were destined to leave their names in history. One day, Chuan Pu's warriors did not send back any messages. The moles in the Beijing city did not make any moves either. It meant that the Asmodean Lord had not made a move yet. Luli went on with his unbridled attacks. The more Asmodeans he killed, the better for the human race. After all, the Asmodeans would be weakened. The next day, the Asmodean Lord still did nothing. The moles in the cities along the way did not send back any messages. It seemed that the dragon demon had not come. Luli could put his mind at ease. As long as the dragon demon did not come and the Asmodean Lord was alone, Luli was confident that he could defeat the Asmodean Lord. On the third day, the Asmodean Lord made a move. He showed up at the Beijing city. He stepped into the teleportation formation and teleported to the Zhuoting city. Luli was relieved to hear the news. He gave up on attacking the cities and waited for the Asmodean Lord outside a city to the south of the Zhuoting city. Buzzing, 2 hours later, the teleportation formation in the city glowed. Luli used psychic power to check. Soon, he saw a familiar figure. Whoosh! The Asmodean Lord did not go into the crack in space. Instead, he hovered in midair and stared at Luli. His blood-red eyes were filled with murderous intent. Asmodean Lord, you are finally here. Luli did not go into the wicked bead. He greeted the Asmodean Lord from the distance. His desire to fight was rising. This battle concerned the survival of the human race. Luli must kill the Asmodean Lord. Ha ha! The Asmodean Lord sneered and said with pride, Luli, you have slaughtered tens of millions of my people. You are guilty of many crimes. Today, I will enforce justice on behalf of heaven and kill you, a demon. Ha ha ha! Luli laughed. The Asmodean race had the word demon in its name. The two races were on opposing sides. Both wanted to destroy the other. There was no such thing as good or evil. How could the Asmodean Lord call Luli a demon? If the Asmodean Lord were a demon, he would not only kill warriors but also civilians of the Asmodean race. Are you confident? The Asmodean Lord sneered. Luli, I admit that you are a rare talent for the human race. But today you will die. If there is a next life, remember not to be so arrogant. You have been too careless. P.S. Continue to repay the debt. You still owe 7 chapters. Readers will find a picture of the dragon demon and post it on the official WeChat account tomorrow. She does look alike. There will be a poll on WeChat to find out which heroine you like the most. Go and vote. WeChat account. Search for Night of the Demon and follow. You can browse the history of the Night of the Demon. There are portraits of Jiang Qiling and Lu Ling and some information about the Undying. Chapter 888. The contempt in the Asmodean Lord's eyes was evident. He was dozens of miles away from Luli, but the Asmodean Lord's eyesight was so good that he could see it clearly. At Luli's and the Asmodean Lord's level, verbal quarrels were beneath their dignity. They might as well kill the Asmodean Lord with one strike. The Asmodean Lord had said these words on purpose. Either his temperament had changed, or he had someone to rely on. A person's temperament could not change, not to mention that the Asmodean Lord had lived for so many years. Lu Li's expressions were solemn. He stopped underestimating the Asmodean Lord. He used psychic power to check but did not find anything useful. He winked at Yi Cha, who was hiding in the dark, and told him to check the surroundings. The Asmodean Lord's biggest reliance was the dragon demon. If the Asmodean Lord had brought the dragon demon with him, Luli would be in trouble. That was because the wicked bead was as fast as the dragon demon. The dragon demon could chase after the wicked bead until the wicked bead was cracked. Are you afraid? The Asmodean Lord noticed the seriousness on Lu Li's face. He laughed out loud. It is too late even if you are. Luli, I will kill you today. Then, I will break into the demon-slaying city and conquer the great land. Eventually, I will conquer the heaven-reverse universe. From then on, you humans will become our slaves. We can kill you and torture you as we please. Ha ha ha. Buzzing, 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 the teleportation formation in the small city was glowing. Zhuotengxiong and the others were teleported over. The Asmodean Lord was fighting here. Of course, warriors from the eastern land of oceans would come and cheer. All hail the Asmodean Lord. Kill the human bastard. Kill the murderous dogs and avenge the people of our demon clan. Yes, yes. Kill the human emperor. Our Asmodean army will be invincible, and we will dominate the heaven-reverse universe. Kill all the human males and domesticate all the human females into female dogs. The people in the city were clamoring. Of course, nobody dared to come out. They would be courting death if they came out. Luli had killed countless human sovereign realm warriors and earth immortal realm warriors. Luli was not one to be intimidated. Ignoring the powerful Asmodeans, he looked at the Asmodean Lord and said coldly, "If so, what are you waiting for? I am standing here. Come and kill me." "All right," the great demon god answered. His body directly tore through the void, burrowed into the spatial crack, and disappeared in midair. Buzz, the bead of life came out from Luli's abdomen. He held the wicked bead in his other hand. Strands of feather wind suddenly gathered in the air, filling up an area with a radius of 30 miles around Luli and enveloping the small cities nearby. Fortunately, the city's protection formation was activated after the Asmodean Lord left. Otherwise, many people would have been attacked by the feather wind, and many would be rolling on the ground in pain. Luli released some feather wind to track down the Asmodean Lord. Feather wind was a special kind of wind. Like the wind, Luli could be found in every corner of the universe. Luli could know any changes in space in an instant. He's here. Through the feather wind, Luli could sense something special in space. Although the great demonic god had entered the spatial crack, he was still within the spatial crack. How could there not be any fluctuations when a living being was stealthily moving through the space? Because of this, Luli could easily locate the Asmodean Lord. As a matter of fact, the moment the Asmodean Lord showed up, Luli could have covered the Asmodean Lord with the Feather Wind Castle. But Luli didn't do that. At the moment, the Asmodean Lord was approaching Luli. He was 3 miles away from the Asmodean Lord, but Luli showed no signs of taking actions. Luli was trying to figure out what the Asmodean Lord was relying on. He was waiting for Yicha's reply. If the dragon demon was nearby, Luli would run away at once instead of wasting time with the Asmodean Lord. 2 miles, 1.5 miles. They were getting closer. Luli and the Asmodean Lord could reach each other in the time for a few breaths given their speed. Finally, Luli made his move. "Feather Wind Castle!" he shouted. A castle came into being in midair. It was not the one where Luli killed Zhuotengxiong, but the Feather Wind Castle that Luli had. The castle was half-transparent. It was the Feather Wind Castle that Luli built outside the demon-slaying city. Luli didn't use his full strength right away because he wanted to force the Asmodean Lord to use his trump card. Luli would not be able to rest easy before he could figure out the Asmodean Lord's trump card. It was as if a poisonous snake was hiding in the dark, ready to bite him at any time. Swish! The Asmodean Lord was forced out. The Feather Wind Castle was impressive. It could shake up space. Last time, outside the demon-slaying city, the Asmodean Lord was forced out. It was a familiar castle and a familiar pattern of attack. As soon as the Asmodean Lord came out, the Asmodean Lord was attacked in his soul. But this time, the Asmodean Lord was not afraid at all. Instead, he sneered and said, "Luli, is that all you have? Do you really think you can kill me?" The Asmodean Lord took out a wood carving. It was a warrior, a ferocious-looking, burly man with glaring eyes. His eyes glowed in a red glow. He looked like an Asmodean. As soon as the wood carving came out, a surge of evil spirit spread out. The evil spirit was so strong that even Luli felt suffocated. It was as if this was not a wood carving, but a real Asmodean lord. Buzzing. The wood carving glowed. Then, a blood-red shield came out and enveloped the Asmodean lord. The space behind the Asmodean lord trembled. Several rooms made of feather wind collapsed. A vacuum appeared around the Asmodean lord. This wood carving, Lu Li's expressions changed again. He was familiar with the energy of the wood carving. Once, Ji Zhantian had a similar weapon. One look and Lu Li knew that this was the originator artifact of the Asmodeans. The originator artifact was the same as the originator artifact, a weapon of the same level, infinitely close to a relic. Also, the divine energy in the wood carving was richer and more vigorous. It was not like the originator artifact that was at the end of its life. In the history of the human race, there were many chosen warriors. 3 of them invaded the 4 lands and attempted to wipe out the 4 alien races. But in the end, they failed because the 4 alien races all had originator artifact. So, the immortal that the Asmodeans worshipped does exist. The Asmodean Emperor is not dead. He is real and he is still alive. He must be one of the mighty warriors in the divinity. Lu Li nodded to himself. The divine energy in the originator artifact was proof that the Asmodean Emperor was one of the immortals. However, in history, none of the Asmodeans became an immortal. Where did this Asmodean Emperor come from? How did he become the immortal that the Asmodeans worshipped? The other 3 alien races all had originator artifact. Having seen the Asmodeans' originator artifact, Lu Li believed that the other 3 races' originator artifacts were real. Then, how did the immortals of the 3 alien races come into being? Lu Li. Chapter 889. Wu Wu. The Asmodean Lord activated the originator artifact. Xian energy glowed in his hand. The originator artifact glowed in a dark light. The eyes on the wood sculpture began to glow in a blood-red light. Streaks of dark air spread out from the originator artifact. A ghostly cry came out. It was not loud, but everyone within a radius of 300 miles could hear it clearly. That sound. Lu Li frowned as if he was facing a formidable enemy. He felt something was wrong, very wrong. There was a strange power in this voice. It was the smell of divine power. Plop, plop. In the distance, many people in the city dropped to their knees. Their eyes were filled with terror as if they had seen the most horrifying scene in the world. Many people were trembling. Their lips were pale and their pupils were contracted. But they did not make any sound. They were all devout. How? Soon, an image appeared in front of Lu Li's eyes. He noticed that his surroundings had changed. He found himself in a huge altar. He was surrounded by demons and monsters. They were flying around and howling into the sky. They looked ferocious and intimidating. There was the 3-headed man covered in black scales, the one-eyed monster that was as strong as an ape, the black bear that was tied up in chains, the old witch that was crawling with poisonous insects. Even with Lu Li's composure, he was taken aback by this sudden scene. But he soon realized that these were all illusions. If they were real, any of the demons here could tear him apart. Why would the Asmodean Lord wait until this day? He would have leveled the demon-slaying city. This originator artifact of the Asmodeans is impressive. Lu Li nodded to himself. He could feel divine energy in this illusion. In other words, this illusion could confuse everyone so that the Asmodean Lord could approach quietly and successfully assassinate the target. No wonder the 3 chosen warriors that went to the eastern land of oceans failed. Lu Li could still feel the soul attack in the sound. It was silent, like a frog being boiled in warm water. Soul attacks are getting stronger. Lu Li checked and sneered inwardly. He had a silver dragon mark in his soul pond. He was not afraid of any soul attacks. The Asmodean Lord had miscalculated. Buzzing. Lu Li's soul pond glowed as a silver dragon flew out from his core of soul and hovered outside his soul pond. Lu Li felt the soul attack was broken and he was no longer affected. You want to trap me with a mere illusion? Break. Luli opened his mouth and let out a roar. This time, he mobilized the divine energy in his bead of life and used Dragon Roar skill. Since this illusion was supported by divine power, he would have to use divine power to break it. Half of Lu Li's divine energy was used to strengthen his physical body. The other half was stored in his bead of life. He used some to enhance the line diagram. Boom, boom, boom. The power of the Dragon Roar divine skill, which was released using divine power, was extremely terrifying. The space around it trembled, and tiny spatial cracks appeared. The wind raged, and the faint roar of thunder could be heard. This roar shook the heavens and the earth, and could be heard from thousands of miles away. Chi, the evil spirits around Lu Li melted away like snow. The dark sky brightened up. The ghostly voices were gone, and peace was restored. Well, in the distance, the Asmodean Lord was taken aback. He did not launch a surprise attack because Lu Li did not react at all. Not even the Feather Wind Castle disappeared. It was not the best time for the Asmodean Lord to strike. The Originator artifact had many functions. The first was defense, the second was illusion, and the third was soul attack. Soul attack and illusion were complementary. The longer one stayed in the illusion, the stronger the soul attack would be. Lu Li broke the illusion in an instant, which rendered the soul attack ineffective. The wood carving glowed and returned to its original state. In the distance, the illusion in the minds of the Asmodeans and the powerful warriors disappeared. Even though they were in the illusion, they could hear Lu Li's thunderous voice. How the human emperor is so strong. He can break the illusion of the Originator artifact. How is that possible? The illusion of the Originator artifact is supported by divine energy. Nobody below the immortal realm can break it. Unless Lu Li has divine energy. Well, the human spy sent me a message. It seems that Lu Li learned something at the demon-slaying city. There was an anomaly in heaven and earth, and he was granted divine energy. Yes, last time, I went with the Asmodean Lord and I saw it with my own eyes. Many human sovereign realm warriors and earth immortal realm Asmodeans had come to the city. They were discussing. They were worried. Not even the Originator artifact could trap Lu Li. Could the Asmodean Lord defeat Lu Li? That being said, last time, Lu Li's feather-wind castle trapped the Asmodean Lord. That being said, the Asmodean Lord could teleport away easily. However, it seemed that the Asmodean Lord was going to lose again. Asmodean Lord, your attack is over. Now it is my turn. Lu Li shouted. The Asmodean Lord had shown his trump card. The Originator artifact was powerful, but Lu Li happened to be able to counter it. Lu Li was not afraid of soul attacks, and he had divine energy. No matter how powerful the Originator artifact was, it was useless against him. Feather Wind Castle, disperse, rise again. Lu Li shouted. The Feather Wind Castle disappeared. Then, a cyan-colored castle emerged in midair. That castle did not look like an illusion, but a real one, a huge city with a radius of more than 30 miles. How, in the small city, Zhuotung Xiong and the others were taken aback. Building a city with a single thought? Was this a skill of an immortal? This was not an illusory castle. It looked like a real, huge castle. More importantly, their psychic power could not penetrate into the city. What was more, the city was dangerous. Everyone felt that if they were enveloped by the city, they would not be able to come out. Oh no! The two masters of the Earth Immortal Realm Masters looked at each other in shock. They had speculated that Lu Li must have something to rely on since he was acting so boldly. They had thought that Lu Li had only made some small progress. They did not expect that Lu Li had made such great progress. You have made great progress. Inside the Feather Wind Castle, the Asmodean Lord's eyes flickered. He held the Originator artifact in his hand, which glowed in a red light and covered him up. However, he could not stop the soul attacks in the feather wind. Billions of golden needles were piercing into his soul, aiming at his soul. Go! The Asmodean Lord took out a dagger in his other hand. He stabbed at the space, trying to tear it apart to see if he could use spatial transference. However, after several stabs, nothing happened. This time, the Asmodean Lord was taken aback. The space was sealed. The Feather Wind Castle was so much more powerful. Lu Li's laughter suddenly came from the sky. The Asmodean Lord could not tell where Lu Li was at all. The Asmodean Lord tried to use psychic power, but it could not penetrate the Feather Wind Castle. The Asmodean Lord was even more worried. Lu Li's voice came again. Asmodean Lord, did you say that I have been too careless? Now let me tell you that. Now that you are in my Feather Wind Castle, you will not be able to leave. Die. Bang. Chapter 890. After the Feather Wind Castle evolved, soul attacks were more powerful. Back at the demon-slaying city, the Asmodean Lord already could not stand the Feather Wind attack. This time, the soul attack was even more horrifying. How could he stand it? Very good. Lu Li, you have successfully enraged me. The Asmodean Lord bellowed. The wood carving in his hand glowed. The blood-red shield glowed brightly. The Asmodean Lord managed to stand the soul attack of the Feather Wind. He shouted, Lu Li, I will show you the real power of the Originator artifact. The Asmodean Lord threw the wood carving at Lu Li. The wood carving expanded in size and turned into a huge statue. The statue glowed in red. Then, it began to move and turned into a killer. Puppetry? Lu Li frowned. The wicked bead in his hand glowed. He was ready to go in at any time. He sensed danger from the puppet that the wood carving had turned into. Swish, the wood carving waved its hand. A blade of wind came into being and tore apart many rooms in the castle. The blade of wind was fast. In the blink of an eye, it had reached Lu Li. The wicked bead in Lu Li's hand enlarged and shielded Lu Li from the blade of wind. Swish, swish, the wood carving kept sending out blade of wind and it was getting closer. Lu Li decided not to go back into the wicked bead. Instead, he let out the Patriarchs and Earth Immortal Realm Soul Slave. He shouted, Attack that wood carving puppet! Boom, 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 the more than a dozen Earth Immortal Realm Soul Slaves bombarded the wood carving puppet from the distance. All of them used profound meanings or bloodline skills. But what shocked everyone was that the wooden sculpture wasn't damaged in the slightest after more than a dozen terrifying attacks landed on it. The wood carving was glowing. It had fended off all the attacks and was not knocked back one bit. Okay, you can go back now. Seeing that the more than a dozen Earth Immortal Realm Soul Slaves were going to attack again, Lu Li waved his hand and let them back into the wicked bead. The wood carving was protected by divine energy. Earth Immortal Realm Soul Slaves' attacks could not harm the wood carving. Those Earth Immortal Realm Soul Slaves would only be committing suicide if they stayed. Now, the last move. Lu Li's eyes flickered as he stared at the wood carving puppet that was getting closer. If the last move did not work, he would have to hide in the wicked bead. Little White. When the wood carving broke through dozens of rooms and was only 2 miles away from Lu Li shouted. The wicked bead glowed as Little White came out. Little White dashed to the left like a white comet and flew toward the wood carving. The wood puppet had been hacking at the blades of wind, but they were all blocked by the wicked bead. Little White's appearance did not trigger any reaction from the wood puppet. In the distance, the great demonic god sensed that something was wrong. His eyes flickered with a red light and runes appeared. The wooden carving puppet turned around and suddenly waved its arms at Xiao Bai, shooting out wind blades. At that moment, Little White flashed, and its speed suddenly increased explosively. It let out a few strange cries, and its body once again turned into an arc, dodging a few wind blades. Its small body burrowed under the wooden statue's arm. Whitey's 4 claws grabbed onto the wooden carving puppet's arm, and its little mouth bit down on the arm. Luli scanned with psychic power. He was nervous. If Little White couldn't break this wooden sculpture puppet, then he would lose this battle. Crack, crack. What shocked Luli was, Little White bit the arm of the wooden sculpture, but it was as if it was biting an iron plate. The wooden sculpture glowed with divine energy. Little White could not break the defense of the wooden sculpture. Squeak, squeak, Little White bellowed in rage. Then, its teeth glowed. Little White opened its mouth and bit at the wooden sculpture again. Crack, this time, the wooden sculpture made a crisp sound. Luli was overjoyed when he used psychic power to check. A piece of the wooden sculpture's arm was bitten off by Little White. The glow on the wooden sculpture dimmed down, and Little White shrank back to its original size. How is this possible? The Asmodean Lord stared at Little White in astonishment. What kind of Xian beast was this? How could it crack the wooden sculpture's defense? This was the originator artifact of the Asmodean, and it was protected by divine energy. Come back! The Asmodean Lord had no time to be surprised. He used a skill to call back the wooden sculpture. If Little White took a few more bites, the originator artifact would be ruined. Whoosh! The wooden sculpture dashed back in a blur. Little White wanted to go after it, but Luli shook his head and said, "Little White, come back. I will take care of the rest. Asmodean Lord, what else do you have? If not, this will be the end of you." It was impossible for the Asmodean Lord to leave the Feather-Wind Castle. The originator artifact had been damaged by Little White. Even if it could still be used, it would not be as powerful. If the Asmodean Lord had no other means, he would lose his life here today. Squeak, squeak, Little White flew back and stood on Luli's shoulder. It held its head up high, looking very proud. The Asmodean Lord grabbed the wooden sculpture without saying anything. He checked it carefully. Then, he sighed in relief. Luckily, it is only partial damage. Otherwise, I, Yamamoto Chu, would be the sinner of the Asmodeans. Good. The Asmodean Lord turned to Little White and nodded. Luli, I admit that your little beast is good. The originator artifact has been around for hundreds of thousands of years, and this is the first time it has been damaged. But if you think you can defeat me with this, you are too naive. As a matter of fact, the fact that you are here today means that you are doomed. Nobody can stop you, not even 100 semi-god realm warriors. What? Luli was taken aback. The Asmodean Lord was not one to talk big. Usually, when powerful warriors fought, they would not waste words. Today, the Asmodean Lord had emphasized this again and again, which meant that he had other means. Buzzing, the Asmodean Lord held the wooden sculpture and poured Xian energy into it. The wooden sculpture was damaged, but as Xian energy poured in, it began to glow. A rune flew out from the wooden sculpture and came into being above the head of the wooden sculpture. Oh no! Luli had a bad feeling about this. At this moment, he had an inkling of what was going on. He yelled, "Asmodean Lord, how dare you!" Swish, Luli waved his hands. Dragons of wind came into being and dashed toward the Asmodean Lord. At the same time, Luli shouted to Little White, "Little White, go and bite the Asmodean Lord or destroy the wooden sculpture." Whoosh! Little White dashed on in a blur. Little White was not afraid of the feather wind. It could come and go as it pleased. In the time for a few breaths, Little White could reach the Asmodean Lord. Ha ha ha! The dragons of feather wind dashed over and attacked the Asmodean Lord. The Asmodean Lord's soul was being attacked by hundreds of millions of golden needles. But he fought back the pain. He laughed wildly. Ha ha ha, Luli, you have finally come to your senses. But it is too late. The last rune in the wooden sculpture flew to the head of the wooden sculpture. Those runes formed a strange formation in midair. As soon as the formation was formed, the surrounding space began to tremble. A surge of horrifying energy swept across. The Feather-Wind Castle was torn apart. Little White, come back. Luli yelled as he saw that the formation was expanding and the space was trembling more violently. The Asmodean Lord was right. It was too late. The formation had taken shape. Luli was one step behind. In midair, a beast of the void came out. Luli finally understood why the Asmodean Lord said that he was doomed. Chapter 891. The Asmodean Lord's trump card had always been the Dragon Demon. While Luli was cultivating, the Asmodean Lord had captured more than 200,000 young boys and girls. The Dragon Demon had matured. Even though the Dragon Demon could not reach the peak and its abilities were not close to the immortal realm, even the Asmodean Lord was frightened by the Dragon Demon. The Asmodean Lord felt his soul was trembling. The Asmodean Lord said that he would fight Luli in 3 days. He was not cultivating, nor was he planning anything. He was building a formation. Through the formation and the originator artifact, the Asmodean Lord could summon the Dragon Demon wherever he was. When the Dragon Demon showed up, Luli would not survive. This was the source of the Asmodean Lord's confidence, his trump card. Hoot, hoot, the Dragon Demon merely poked its head out and a surge of horrifying energy spread out. The space was shaking violently. Luli and Little White were overwhelmed by the horrifying chi and blood. The man and the beast felt they could not even move their fingers at this moment. It was like a child facing a 4th or 5th rank Xian beast. The energy of the Xian beast had shocked the child's soul. The child fell to the ground, unable to control his body. He could only put on a look of terror and desperation. In addition to Luli and Little White, even Zhua Tengxiong and the others in the city in the distance were overwhelmed by the energy of the Dragon Demon. Many civilians of the Asmodean race were scared out of their wits. Thousands of Asmodeans fell to the ground. They were scared to death. Humans and Asmodeans were the same. Once they were frightened, their blood would freeze and their brains would stop pumping blood. In extreme fear, the heart would contract. Those in poor health would suffocate or die of cerebral thrombosis. They would be scared to death. I am doomed. Out of instinct, Luli felt hopeless. Looking at the beast that was as large as the Featherwind Castle coming out from the void, Luli felt powerless and insignificant. The Dragon Demon was growing fast and was so powerful that no human could stand against it. Though it was not at the immortal realm, it could kill all the average semi-god realm warriors. No, another voice in Luli's mind bellowed, this is an illusion. The Dragon Demon is just a slightly stronger beast. This feeling of being invincible is just an illusion. This must be a special skill of the Dragon Demon. As long as I don't give up, I can move and I can get into the Wicked Bead. At the very least, Luli's life would be safe in the Wicked Bead. Luli communicated with the Wicked Bead with psychic power, trying to enter. Buzz! Finally, the Wicked Bead glowed. A strong force enveloped Luli, trying to suck him in. Buzz! However, the Asmodean Lord had been keeping an eye on Luli. When the Wicked Bead glowed, runes came out from his eyes. A surge of ferocious energy spread out from him. Hoot, hoot, almost at the same time, the Dragon Demon bellowed, shaking heaven and earth. The horn of the Dragon Demon that had just come out from the sky glowed. A huge blood-red shield covered an area with a radius of 30 miles. All living beings within a radius of 30 miles were surrounded by a red airstream. All of them were restrained in the air. Oh no! Luli was frozen in midair. This time, he was in a complete panic. The Dragon Demon was not controlled by a human compared to when it was controlled. The Dragon Demon had unleashed its skill so quickly that Luli had nowhere to run. The suction force from the Wicked Bead was still strong. However, Luli was trapped in the red airstream. He could not move at all. The suction force from the Wicked Bead did not work. Squeak, squeak, Little White was restrained. It kept roaring and twisting its small body. It was glowing in a white light. Little White was absorbing the red airstream. What? The Asmodean Lord did not take action. He had been monitoring Luli and Little White. He was surprised to see that Little White could absorb the red airstream. "Kill this little beast." The Asmodean Lord pointed at Little White. The dragon demon's tail smashed Little White into the ground. Boom! A huge crack appeared on the ground. The ground was filled with boulders, and stone fragments filled the sky. The crack on the ground was bottomless. Nobody could tell how powerful the dragon demon's whip was. "Little White!" Luli yelled to himself. However, he could only open his mouth a little bit. He could not even shout. He tried to twist his body but could not get rid of the red airstream. The red airstream had a strange ability. It could suppress a warrior's Xian energy, soul energy, and even divine energy. Luli wanted to mobilize divine energy from his bead of life. If he could dissolve the red airstream, he could go back into the wicked bead. However, his divine energy was suppressed and could not come out from his bead of life. This dragon demon must be a mythical beast or a magical beast from the world above. Not even divine energy can suppress its strength. Luli said to himself. He used psychic power to check Little White. Little White was only slightly injured. Luli was relieved. He thought about it and communicated with the wicked bead. He let out the 5 Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves. Buzzing, buzzing, the wicked bead glowed. Uncle 9 of the June family and the others came out. Luli did not have to explain the situation. They all took actions and aimed at the dragon demon. Boom, 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 the 5 acted quickly. They dashed to the dragon demon and used profound meaning to attack the dragon demon. The 5's goal was clear, to hurt the dragon demon so that Luli could be freed. As long as Luli could go back into the wicked bead, they could all be saved. Otherwise, if Luli died, so would all of them. They are puny. Dragon demon, kill them! The Asmodean Lord looked on coldly. The attacks from the 5 landed on the dragon demon, but it was as if they were hitting a piece of cold steel. Last time, they could injure the dragon demon a little bit. This time, they could not even crack the dragon demon's defense. Hoot, hoot, the horn on the dragon demon's head glowed. The 5 Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves could not move anymore. The dragon demon spread its wings. It was like a rock spreading its wings, covering up the sky. Whoosh, the dragon demon's blood-red tail twisted and swept across. A blur of red light swept across. Uncle 9 of the June family was the first to be hit. He was torn apart and his quasi-relic armor was destroyed. Bang, bang, bang! With 5 muffled sounds, the 5 Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves exploded like 5 blood balls. Pieces of flesh danced around and blood spilled everywhere. Squeak, squeak! Little White dashed out from underground and dashed toward the dragon demon in rage. This time, the Asmodean Lord didn't even have to give the order. The dragon demon smashed Little White into the ground again. Luli checked with psychic power. Little White's white fur was tainted with blood. Little White's defense was impressive, but it was hurt by the dragon demon. At this rate, in a few more times, Little White would become a pile of minced meat as well. The Asmodean Lord stood in midair, gazing at Luli from the distance. Luli, there are more Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves in the wicked bead. How about you let them all out? Let's see if they can save you. What other cards do you have? Use them all. Luli did not do anything stupid. Given the current situation, even 10,000 Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves would not be enough to kill the dragon demon cards. What other cards did Luli have? The wicked bead, Little White, and the Feather Wind Castle were his greatest cards, but they were useless now. Am I really going to lose my life here? A thought came to Luli's mind. He could die, but what about Jiang Qiling and Bai Qiuxue? What about the humans of the Great Land? P.S. Someone said that WeChat could not follow the official account of Wicked Knight. Please explain. You can search for the account, Wicked Knight or Yaoya588 in the contact list. This will show the official account of Wicked Knight. There will be an activity at the end of the year. There will be many prizes. Remember to pay attention. Chapter 892. Squeak, squeak. Little White rushed up again and again, only to be smashed down again and again. Little White and Luli had a deep relationship. It was not like the relationship between a spiritual beast and its master, but more like a family. Little White had been with Luli since it was born. Luli was Little White's only family. To it, Luli was everything. Now that Luli was in trouble, Little White would risk its life to protect Luli. Little White. Luli saw that Little White's fur was dyed red with blood and one of its legs was lame. Little White still flew up stubbornly. Its stubborn eyes made Luli's heart bleed. However, he could do nothing at the moment. Even moving his body was difficult. He had 8 Earth Immortal Realm Patriarchs in the wicked bead, but he dared not to let them out. He had divine energy in his bead of life, but he could not use any of it. The only thing he could use at the moment was the Rising Dragon skill. However, not even the most powerful attacks from those Earth Immortal Realm warriors could hurt the dragon demon. What was the point of doing that? Luli, I admit that you are a rare talent of the human race. But today you will die. If there's a next life, remember not to be so arrogant and careless. The fact that you are here today means that you are destined to die. No one can stop you. Not even 100 semi-god realm cultivators can stop you from dying. Luli, there are some Earth Immortal Realm warriors in the wicked bead. Why don't you release them all? See if I can save you? What other trump cards do you have? Use them all. The Asmodean Lord's words echoed in Luli's ears. Just now, Luli thought the Asmodean Lord was just talking nonsense. Now, he felt it was ironic. I was too careless. He had been too careless. Luli had thought that with the completion of the Feather Wind Castle, he would be doomed in a fight against the Asmodean Lord. Little did he know that everything he had done and everything he could rely on were laughable in the eyes of the Asmodean Lord. He could have run away earlier. If he had entered the wicked bead at the very beginning, he would have had a chance to escape. As long as he could find a place to hide and continue comprehending the line diagram, he might stand a chance. But now, he no longer had that chance. Trump card? What other trump cards do I have? Luli laughed mockingly. His last will to survive made him instinctively recall all the skills and abilities he had. Bloodline Divine Skill? Burning Blood, Dragon Roar, Blood Claw, and Rising Dragon Art were all useless. Speed, Profound Meaning, Space Vibration, Soul Shattering Skill, and Feather Wind Castle? It was also useless. Luli had gone through everything he could think of. He could not move at all. No matter how many ways he had to kill the dragon demon, it would be pointless. No, all of a sudden, an idea came to Luli's mind. He remembered something, a piece of treasure that he had overlooked, a piece of treasure from the divinity. The blood of the Slayer. This was a treasure obtained from the inner hall of the wicked bead. The wicked bead came from the divinity and the Slayer's blood came from a powerful warrior. The blood contained horrifying energy. Luli couldn't even open the bottle for too long, let alone consume it. He was almost controlled by the evil spirit inside and turned into a killing maniac. Refining the blood of the Slayer? This was the last way, the last chance for him to turn the tables. Otherwise, not only would he die, the wicked bead would be cracked open as well. Jiang Qiling and Bai Qiushu would die, the 8 patriarchs and Little White would all perish. However, was that blood something he could refine? His mortal body could stand the horrifying energy. But what if the blood entered his body and his body exploded? Boom! From down below came a loud noise, which pulled Luli back from his thoughts. He used psychic power to check. His killing intent soared. Little White was smashed into the ground by the dragon demon again. This time, Little White could not get up anymore. Many of its bones were broken and its limbs were broken. Little White was breathing in but not out. It could die at any moment. Never mind. Luli made up his mind. He would have to try if he was going to die anyway. He thought about it. The wicked bead glowed. Patriarch Lay and the others came out. Exerting all his strength, Luli shouted, "All of you, scatter and run. This is an order. Anyone who disobeys will be expelled from the demon-slaying hall." Patriarch Lay and the others did not know what was going on outside. Out of instinct, they wanted to take action. However, they were frightened when they saw the mountain-like dragon demon. Expelled from the demon-slaying hall? Hearing Luli's last sentence, everyone came back to their senses. Without any hesitation, they fled to all sides. Luli's tone was stern. Nobody dared to disobey him. "You want to run?" The Asmodean Lord sneered. The runes in his eyes glowed. He was about to control the dragon demon to restrain all the patriarch. But at this moment, when he threw a casual glance at Luli, his pupils contracted and he was taken aback. Luli's interspatial ring glowed as he took out a jade bottle. Luli grabbed the jade bottle and used his thumb to knock the cork away. Then, he poured out a drop of blood. Buzzing! As soon as the drop of blood appeared, a surge of horrifying energy spread out from the blood, enveloping an area with a radius of 3 miles. The Asmodean Lord smelled the strong smell of blood. Then, his eyes glowed red. He was filled with murderous intent. His blood was boiling. At this moment, he felt he had become an Asmodean Lord who could tear apart some living beings. In addition to the Asmodean Lord, Patriarch Lay and the others stopped running. They stared at the drop of blood, the dark red blood with golden runes. Everyone's eyes turned red. They were filled with murderous intent and their blood was boiling. Hoot, hoot! The dragon demon cried into the sky. It was agitated. Flapping its wings, the dragon demon retreated for 2 miles. Looking at the blood of the slayer in its golden eyes, the dragon demon seemed to be afraid. It was as if not even the dragon demon could stand the murderous intent in the blood. Squeak, squeak! Whitey, who had been smashed into the ground, opened its eyes. It stared at the drop of blood, its eyes shining brightly. It was filled with desire, as if it wanted to swallow the drop of blood in one gulp. Consume it. Luli was breathing heavily. His blood was boiling. His face was ferocious. His eyes were red. From his throat came a voice that sounded like a beast. "Blood of the Slayer, I hope you will not disappoint me." Luli pointed at the blood. The drop of blood flew into his mouth. He closed his eyes and focused on his body. He did not know how to consume the blood of the Slayer. He had to go with the most primitive method, which was to swallow the blood and let it merge with his own. Roar! As the blood entered his body, Luli felt he had swallowed a ball of fire. He felt his body was burning. Overwhelmed by the pain, Luli raised his head and bellowed. Even though the dragon demon had stepped back, Luli was still surrounded by the red airstream. He was still tied up. He bellowed into the sky. He was filled with murderous intent. He was like a demon from hell that was about to break free from its shackles and tear apart all living beings. Luli swallowed the blood of the Slayer. The Asmodean Lord and the other patriarchs came back to their senses. The red glow in their eyes faded away and the murderous intent died down. Chapter 893. The Asmodean Lord had lived for 800 years. He became the Asmodean Lord when he was over 200 years old. He had seen many things and read many secret histories of the Asmodeans. The Asmodean Lord was undoubtedly the most knowledgeable among the Asmodeans. Naturally, the Asmodean Lord was knowledgeable and he knew how dangerous Luli was. The Asmodean Lord did not know what Luli took, but he knew that it was not something from the Heaven Reverse universe. Also, it was not something from the mortal world. The Asmodean Lord sensed the power of an immortal in that drop of blood. The Asmodean Lord could summon the dragon demon from the region of doom, and he was the Asmodean Lord, the most loyal servant of the Asmodean Lord. Naturally, the Asmodean Lord knew something about immortals. The Asmodean Lord knew how powerful an immortal was. If Luli were to consume that drop of blood, everyone would die, including the dragon demon. Therefore, the Asmodean Lord sent the dragon demon to kill Luli at once. Only before Luli consumed the blood could the Asmodean Lord have a chance to kill him. Hoot, hoot, the dragon demon bellowed, but it was afraid to approach Luli. The dragon demon's eyes were filled with fear, as if Luli was an immortal and the dragon demon did not dare to offend him. Dragon demon, I order you to kill Luli. The Asmodean Lord bellowed again. The runes in his eyes glowed brighter. A surge of ferocious energy spread from him toward the dragon demon. The dragon demon was suppressed by the Asmodean Lord. A glint of violence rose in its eyes. The dragon demon bellowed, spread its wings, flew up and smashed at Luli with its huge claw. Roar, roar, Luli was still bellowing like a beast. He felt every inch of his skin and muscles were burning and his blood was boiling. He felt he was about to explode. The energy in the Slayer's blood was horrifying. He could not stand it. I am dead, I am dead. Luli felt he could no longer contain that energy. His blood was about to explode, which would lead to a chain reaction. His bead of life and spirit sea would explode at the same time and he would die. Buzzing, right at that moment, the silver dragon mark in Luli's soul pond glowed. That silver dragon flew out from the soul pond and entered Luli's body. The silver dragon circled around him. Then, something miraculous happened. The berserk energy from the Slayer's blood quickly calmed down after the silver dragon swam past. Luli's boiling blood quickly calmed down and the pain eased. All right. Luli was relieved. Just now, he felt he was about to explode. He didn't expect that the silver dragon could not only protect his soul pond but also suppress the Slayer's blood. Hoot, hoot, from outside came the bellow of the dragon demon, followed by a piercing noise. A surge of horrifying energy spread out. Luli sensed fatal danger. Buzz! Luli opened his eyes all of a sudden. His eyes were blood red. A surge of killing intent spread out from his eyes. That horrifying energy was stronger than that of the dragon demon. Hoot, hoot, once again, the dragon demon was afraid. It was about to slap Luli with its paw, but the dragon demon was hesitating. Dragon demon, charge! The Asmodean Lord bellowed in rage. The runes on his body glowed. A surge of energy spread out from him. Finally, the dragon demon had made up its mind. It swung its huge paw at Luli. Grand Master! Patriarch Lay and the others shouted in terror. How strong was the dragon demon's paw? Not to mention Luli, even a powerful warrior of the semi-god realm would be smashed into pieces by this slap. Squeak, squeak, Little White, who was on the ground, screamed in terror. It could not stand up. Little White struggled to its feet. It flew up and kept yelling, trying to warn Luli to move away. However, Luli was still entangled by the red airstream. He could not move at all. How could he dodge? Luli did not intend to dodge at all. His blood-red eyes were filled with the desire to fight. It was a strange feeling. An inexplicable thought came to his mind. This horrifying dragon demon did not seem to scare him at all. Instead, he was more like an ant. This was a strange feeling. Previously, when Luli saw the dragon demon, he felt chills, like a child seeing a huge Xian beast. But at the moment, he felt the dragon demon was a small beast that he could crush with a wave of his hand. Roar! Out of instinct, Luli made a move. From his throat came a beast-like growl. He put some strength into his hands. Then, something strange happened. A ray of red light came out from Luli. Following that, a surge of horrifying energy spread out from his body. The red airstream that was entangling him disappeared. Luli swung his fist out of instinct and punched at the huge beast claw in the sky, just like the seawater being evaporated under the high temperature. The scene froze. Luli's small fist and the dragon demon's mountain-like paw met. Luli's puny body and the dragon demon's mountain-like body formed a strong visual impact. It was as if an ant was trying to shake the world. Boom! With a muffled sound, something unbelievable happened. Space trembled and a blast spread to all sides. Then, that mountain-sized dragon demon was smashed up like a meteorite into the sky. As for Luli, he did not move an inch in midair. Silence, the entire place was deathly silent. Everyone followed the dragon demon's gaze to the sky. They were confused, as if this was a dream or an illusion. This could not be happening. Whoosh! Soon, the dragon demon fell down and smashed into a nearby mountain, flattening a small hill. The ground within a radius of 300 miles was shaking violently. The small city was shaking as well. A cloud of dust rose up from the dragon demon, covering up the sky and the earth. Hiss, hissed. It was not until this moment that people came back to their senses. What greeted them was the sound of gasping. Everyone stared at the dragon demon that was smashed into the hill, and then at Luli, who was standing in midair with pride. They could not believe what they had just seen. No, look at Luli's hair. Some Asmodeans in the small city shouted in surprise. They looked up at Luli's hair, only to see that his black hair had turned white. Grand Master's hair. Patriarch Lay and the others shouted in surprise. Luli's hair was black a moment ago. How could it turn white after one punch? It was just a blink of an eye. This was so strange that people were stunned. More importantly, Luli had smashed away the dragon demon with one punch. The combination of the two made the situation even more bizarre. How strong was the dragon demon? The endless ravines on the ground were the most convincing proof of this. One move from the dragon demon could crush a city, flatten a mountain, and tear apart space. Words could not describe the dragon demon's strength. Such a powerful move was smashed away by Luli with one punch? Also, Luli did not even tremble. It was as if Luli had smashed away not a 10,000 feet long beast, but a fly. Is this the strength of an immortal? Chapter 894. That is so strong. After Luli punched out, he didn't move again. He was also frightened by what he saw. Just now, when he punched, some of the energy in the Slayer's blood was mobilized. At that moment, Luli felt he had mastered a surge of horrifying energy that could blow up heaven and earth. He could even smash the towering mountain, let alone the dragon demon. Is this the power of an immortal? Luli remembered the scene of the white-haired young man killing demons with his saber. Those demons were all stronger than the dragon demon. However, they were like lambs to the Slayer's saber. One move and several demons would be cut into pieces. The Slayer was unstoppable. What? My hair? Finally, Luli noticed that his hair had turned white. He scratched his hair in surprise and then checked his body. Nothing had changed. But he did not worry. His hair turning white was not a big deal. He could get some elixirs to nourish it. The most important thing now was to kill the Asmodean Lord and the dragon demon. He could feel the energy in the Slayer's blood was evaporating. He did not have much time. Asmodean Lord, go to hell! Luli stared at the Asmodean Lord with his blood-red eyes. Then, his bead of life glowed. A feather-wind castle came out and covered up the Asmodean Lord. Luli dashed out as well. Dragon demon! The Asmodean Lord was scared out of his wits. He yelled. The runes in his eyes glowed. Not far away, the dragon demon spread its wings under the control of the Asmodean Lord. The dragon demon flew up and smashed at the feather-wind castle with its huge claw. Boom! This move was powerful. Space trembled and a blast spread out. The feather-wind castle was torn apart. The dragon demon smashed at Luli with its claw and its steel-like tail, trying to strangle Luli to death. Piss off! Luli shouted. He punched at the dragon demon's claw again. The dragon demon was smashed away. That steel-like tail was still coming at Luli. The dragon demon wanted to entangle Luli and fly up together. Luli snorted. He reached out his hands and grabbed the dragon demon's tail. Then he swung his arms and swung the dragon demon up. Boom! He swung the dragon demon around in the air, and then smashed the dragon demon into the ground. Once again, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. A huge pit appeared on the ground. Rise! Luli exerted strength in his arms. He swung the dragon demon up again, and then smashed it into the ground, again and again. In the time for a few breaths, the dragon demon had been smashed into the ground for dozens of times. Boom, 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 muffled explosions rang out incessantly. The ground nearby was constantly shaking, and the walls of the small city in the distance had already cracked open. Many buildings in the city suddenly collapsed, burying many people alive. But at the moment, the city was in dead silence. Many Asmodeans were looking at Luli with psychic power. Their eyes were filled with fear as if they had seen the most horrifying scene in the world. Luli was 6 feet and 80 centimeters tall. Compared to the human race, he was taller and more powerful. But compared to the barbarian race, he was like a baby. Compared to this huge dragon demon, he was like an elephant and an ant. At the moment, an ant was grabbing the tail of an elephant, swinging the elephant in the air, and smashing it into the ground again and again. How could the Asmodeans not be dumbfounded by such an incongruous scene? How, Elder Lay and the others were tongue-tied and speechless. Their strongest attacks could not even leave a scratch on the dragon demon's skin. That was a testament to the dragon demon's strength. The dragon demon was as strong as a mythical beast, and yet, it was being swung up and smashed into the ground by Luli. A huge pit appeared on the ground, as deep as an abyss. Crack, crack, the Asmodean lord's teeth were chattering. He was hesitating. The Feather Wind Castle was breached. He could use spatial transference to run away. But if he left, there would be no one to control the dragon demon. The dragon demon might be killed by Luli, and the Asmodean lord would suffer a crushing defeat. This was the eastern land of oceans. Where could the Asmodean lord go? Even if he could, what if Luli killed all the Asmodeans at the eastern land of oceans and the Asmodean lord was the only one left? What else could the Asmodean lord do? Also, if Luli went to the Beijing city and destroyed the altar, then everything would be ruined. But what else could the Asmodean lord do? Not even the dragon demon could defeat Luli. What could the Asmodean lord do? Let's do it. The Asmodean lord decided to take the risk. He and the dragon demon would work together to kill Luli. If this failed, the Asmodean lord would retreat at once. His life came first. Swish, swish, the Asmodean lord snuck into the crack in space and sneaked toward Luli. Luli was still smashing at the dragon demon. He did not release Feather Wind. The Asmodean lord could not find him. Grand Master, be careful of the Asmodean lord. Luli did not notice what the Asmodean lord was doing, but Patriarch Lay and the others did. One of the patriarchs shouted when the Asmodean lord disappeared. But Luli did not seem to hear him. He kept on smashing the dragon demon as if he wanted to smash the dragon demon to death. Swish, the space behind Luli suddenly cracked open. The Asmodean lord came out with the Originator artifact in his hand. The Originator artifact glowed and expanded again. The Asmodean lord turned into a wooden sculpture, an Asmodean lord. The Asmodean lord was overjoyed to see that Luli did not turn around. If the Asmodean lord and the Originator artifact worked together, they might be able to kill Luli in one move. Of course, the Asmodean lord was careful this time. The runes in his eyes glowed. The dragon demon that did not fight back suddenly turned around and opened its mouth to bite at Luli. A three-pronged attack. Patriarch Lay and the others were worried. However, they were too far away. They could not do anything but watch. Squeak, squeak, Little White was lying on the ground, tending to its wounds. Seeing that Luli was in danger, Little White stood up again. Its hair stood on end, and it was ready to fly up. Asmodean Lord, I have been waiting for you. Luli sneered. His body glowed in a red light. A surge of evil spirit surged out from his body. That evil spirit was as horrifying as the Slayer's blood. In an instant, the Asmodean lord was trapped in the air, unable to move. Hoot, hoot, the dragon demon was frightened as well. It was about to bite Luli, but it stopped in the air. If it were not for the fact that Luli had grabbed its tail, the dragon demon would have run away. Hoi! Luli threw the dragon demon away. Then, he swung his fist and punched at the wooden sculpture. Crack! The wooden sculpture was broken in half and smashed away. The glow was fading away. Luli could not tell if it would be of any use. Go to hell! Luli did not stop for a moment. His fist glowed in a red light. With destructive force, he punched at the Asmodean lord's chest. Asmodean lord! Zhuoteng Xiong and the others shouted in terror. However, the Asmodean lord could not move because of the evil spirit. He could only watch as Lu Li's fist came and landed on his chest. Bang! With a muffled sound, the Asmodean lord was not smashed away. That being said, his eyes were filled with terror. In the small city, Zhuoteng Xiong and the others were filled with sorrow and despair. What? Patriarch Lei and the others were stunned. They stared at the bloody fist on the Asmodean lord's back. Lu Li had pierced through the Asmodean lord's chest with one punch. Bang! Lu Li waved his other hand. The Asmodean lord's head was crushed. His body fell to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. Chapter 895. Throughout history, many Asmodean lords were killed. But only one Asmodean lord that reached the semi-god realm was killed. In ancient times, he was killed by Emperor of Heaven Reverse. Since then, nothing like this had ever happened. Today, history was repeating itself. An Asmodean lord at the semi-god realm had been killed, under the premise that he had summoned a powerful dragon demon from the region of doom. Zhuoteng Xiong and the others had lost all hope. Without the Asmodean lord and with the originator artifact destroyed, the dragon demon was no match for Lu Li. Nobody could stop the Asmodeans from being destroyed. Humans and the 4 alien races were sworn enemies. The hatred between them could not be resolved. Given the chance, the 2 races would destroy and enslave each other, never giving the other a chance to rise again. Even without Lu Li, the Asmodeans had lost too many powerful Asmodeans and nobody could stop the humans, let alone Lu Li, who was unbelievably powerful. Good! Patriarch Lei and the others were overjoyed. The death of the Asmodean lord and the destruction of the originator artifact represented the end of the Asmodeans. If Lu Li could suppress or kill the dragon demon, the demon-slaying hall could be wiped out at the eastern land of oceans. Phew, phew! Lu Li was neither happy nor sad after the death of the Asmodean lord. Instead, he closed his eyes because he noticed something. Something was wrong with his body. He checked his body and noticed that he had used up too much energy. He felt as if all his energy had been sucked away. He was like a dying patient that could be killed by a gust of wind. Just now, he had been attacking and mobilizing energy from the Slayer's blood. Therefore, he did not feel much. But when he stopped, he noticed something. He checked himself and somehow, he understood something. The Slayer's blood was overwhelming. That was the energy of an immortal. Lu Li, a mortal, borrowed the energy of an immortal to increase his abilities and kill his enemies easily. However, the side effects were obvious. His body's vitality had been greatly depleted. Why had his hair turned white? That was because he had used up too much of his origin energy. It was like a warrior who could only lift a weight of 50 kilograms was forced to lift a weight of 5,000 kilograms with the help of the drug. Perhaps he didn't feel anything at the time, but after the effects of the drug wore off, his body would suffer serious injuries. This was not an ordinary injury. It was not an injury caused by an assassination attempt, or a severe injury like a severed arm. Instead, it was an injury to his body's yuan qi, and the excessive consumption of his body's essence. We must kill the dragon demon as soon as possible. Luli made up his mind. The Asmodean lord was dead. But what if other Asmodeans could control the dragon demon? While he could still move and the energy of the Slayer Emperor's blood had not completely disappeared, he had to control the situation. Buzz! He opened his eyes. A surge of killing intent spread out. He dashed forward and arrived above the dragon demon in a blink of an eye. The Asmodean lord had passed away. Nobody was controlling the dragon demon. Therefore, the dragon demon was just standing there like an idiot. Even though the dragon demon's abilities had improved, its intelligence was still low. Hoot, hoot! Seeing Luli flying over, it curled up into a ball in fear, and looked at Luli in fear. There was no longer any ferocious glare in its big eyes. Instead, the dragon demon was like a pitiful kitten, wagging its tail and begging for pity. Luli was going to take actions at once to break down the dragon demon's defense and kill it. However, something changed his mind. He shouted, "Dragon demon, you have two choices. Surrender to me or die." Hoot, hoot! The dragon demon did not seem to understand Luli's words. The dragon demon was confused and blinked. Luli frowned. He remembered something. He shouted to Little White in the distance, "Little White, come here." Whoosh! Little White was badly injured. But Luli had solved the crisis and killed the Asmodean lord. Little White was excited. It flew over and snuggled into Luli's arms. Little White looked at Luli, aggrieved. Buzzing. Luli took out some soul crystals and fed them to Little White. Then, he said, "Little White, tell the dragon demon in beast language that it can either surrender to me or die." Squeak, 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 Little White nodded in excitement. Then, its fur stood up and it kept barking at the dragon demon, like a mountain guard dog barking at a wild beast in the mountains. Little White could communicate with Xian beasts and control many low-level Xian beasts. But Luli was not sure if Little White could communicate with the dragon demon. The dragon demon came from the Heaven Reverse universe, not the Heaven Reverse universe. The dragon demon understands. Luli took a look. He was encouraged to see the struggle in the dragon demon's eyes. But he kept a straight face. Instead, the murderous intent was growing stronger. He stood in midair, waiting for the dragon demon's decision. Time moved on. Luli was growing weaker. He could not stand it any longer. The weakness in his body and soul was making him fall into a deep sleep. "Little White, tell the dragon demon that if it does not surrender, I will kill it right away." Luli decided not to wait. He shouted. The energy in the Slayer's blood began to be mobilized. His energy was growing more and more horrifying. His blood-red eyes were like moons, as if there was another world in them. Luli's hand was glowing in a red light. He was ready to take action at any time. There was a hint of struggle in the dragon demon's big eyes. After a moment of hesitation, the dragon demon suddenly cried and lowered its proud head. The dragon demon crawled on all fours as if it was surrendering to Luli in a silent way. Squeak, squeak, Little White was not satisfied. It raised its mane and squeaked. The dragon demon whimpered. Between its eyebrows glowed as a blood-red bead flew out toward Luli's forehead. "What is that?" Luli thought the dragon demon was going to attack, but he did not sense any danger. Little White was squealing in excitement. It waved its paws as if it wanted Luli to take the bead. Luli did not move. He let the bead go in between his eyebrows. The bead flew into his soul pond. Suddenly, Luli understood. The dragon demon had surrendered to him and had become his spiritual beast. Through the bead, Luli and the dragon demon had a spiritual connection. Good! Luli was relieved. He was delighted. The dragon demon was powerful, but it had become his spiritual beast. From this day on, who in the Heaven Reverse universe could be his match? Who could threaten the great land? Buzzing, the dragon demon suddenly glowed in red. Then, the huge body of the dragon demon faded away. In the end, the dragon demon flew into between Luli's eyebrows and disappeared into his head. Between Lu Li's eyebrows, there was a faint red tattoo. Upon closer inspection, one could see that it was a small dragon demon. Well, the dragon demon can do this? Lu Li was surprised. But he did not have time to think. Both his soul and body were extremely weak. He put away the wicked bead and shouted to Patriarch Lei, "Patriarch Lei, I will leave the rest to you. I need to rest for a while." His voice was very loud, and it was meant for the demons to hear. Before he passed out, Lu Li said in a low voice, "Bring me back now. Find a strong healer to treat me. I have used up too much energy." Lu Li could have gone back to the wicked bead. After all, it was safer there. But he chose not to because he was afraid that he might not be able to come out again. His energy was exhausted. Without some miraculous elixirs, he might be in a coma for the rest of his life. P.S. One more chapter. You still owe me 5 chapters. Yesterday, the poll on the official WeChat account surprised him. He thought Bai Qiuxue was the favorite one. Who would have thought? Jiang Qiling was the favorite. Just as one fan said, "You guys love women who love to play in bed the most. I didn't know you were like this. I was wrong about you." Chapter 896. The atmosphere at the demon-slaying city was suffocating. Patriarch of Law Enforcement's face was gloomy. Nobody in the city dared to do anything for fear that Patriarch of Law Enforcement would be punished severely. Lu Li had been at the Eastern Land of Oceans for months. All the entrances to the Eastern Land of Oceans were sealed all of a sudden. The demon-slaying city could not get any information. More importantly, 2 Patriarchs' jade talismans of life were broken recently. Patriarchs and powerful warriors of the demon-slaying hall were worried. Lu Li had the wicked bead. Not even the Asmodean Lord could break the bead, and Ji Zhantian could do nothing about it. Why did 2 Patriarchs die? Were Lu Li and the others in big trouble? Patriarch of Law Enforcement and the other Patriarchs were worried about the Asmodean Lord summoning some kind of evil being. Recently, they had been feeling restless and restless. Report, a voice came out all of a sudden, which startled the Patriarchs in the Hall of Patriarchs. Patriarch of Law Enforcement stood up and dashed out of the Hall of Patriarchs. The other Patriarchs followed him. Patriarch of Law Enforcement used psychic power to check. It was the scout in charge of the entrance of the Asmodean race. He was cheered up and asked, "Is there any news from Grand Master?" The scout dropped to one knee and said, "From the west, Grand Master is back. But Grand Master seems to be in a coma. Patriarch Lei brought him back. Also, Grand Master's hair has turned white." What? Everyone was shocked. Lu Li was so powerful. How could he be in a coma? And Patriarch Lei brought him back? Nothing bad would happen to him, right? His hair had turned white? Was he badly injured? Report. While everyone was still in a daze, a scout dashed over from afar. He knelt down on one knee and reporting to the disciplinary elder and the other elders, "Elder Lei has sent a message back. He wants us to immediately gather the best healers and elixirs. The hall master is severely injured and needs treatment." Now. Patriarch of Law Enforcement was in a panic. He shouted, "Go to the Great Land and get all the healers here. Anyone that knows how to heal. Also, get all the healing elixirs from the families. Get all the elixirs from the storage of the demon-slaying hall." Patriarch of Law Enforcement had always been calm. This time, he was clearly panicking. How important Lu Li was to him. Lu Li was not only the Grand Master of the demon-slaying hall, but he was also the backbone and the protector of the human race. If anything happened to Lu Li, the demon-slaying city would be doomed, and so would the human race. "You guys stay in the city. Elder Hu and I will go welcome the hall master back. Help me prepare a batch of elixirs." Patriarch of Law Enforcement paced up and down outside the hall. Soon, he made up his mind. Patriarch Lei was fast, but it would take him a day or 2 to get here. He was afraid that something might happen to Luli, so he decided to bring the elixirs over to treat Luli as soon as possible. Among the patriarchs, Patriarch of Likud, Patriarch of Law Enforcement's Patriarch of, so he was, Patriarch of Law Enforcement and Patriarch of, King of Patrioff Patries more, with Patriarch of Law Enforcement. Report, before Patriarch of Law Enforcement left, another scout came. He dropped to one knee and reported, Patriarch of Law Enforcement, Patriarch of Law Enforcement. Patriarch Lay sent back another message. He said that the Asmodean Lord has been killed and the Dragon Demon has been captured. The eastern land of oceans no longer has the power to fight against us. He left some patriarchs to guard the entrance and asked Patriarch of Law Enforcement to mobilize an army to conquer the eastern land of oceans. What? Another wave of astonishment swept across the place. How come the tables had turned so fast? Just a moment ago, it was Luli who was dying. Now, it was the Asmodean Lord who had been killed, and the army was going to attack the eastern land of oceans? Did Grand Master kill the Asmodean Lord and that evil creature at the risk of his injury? One of the elders suggested a hypothesis, which was quickly agreed upon by everyone. Patriarch of Law Enforcement ordered, Patriarch Huang, go to the entrance of the eastern land of oceans with 30 patriarchs and occupy a piece of land. Later, when we have a clear picture of the situation, we will mobilize an army to conquer the eastern land of oceans. Okay. This was a safe strategy which was agreed upon. The other patriarchs would stay at the demon-slaying city to ensure that the city would not be lost. Patriarch of Law Enforcement gave some more instructions. Then, he flew to the southwest with a group of patriarchs. The 30 patriarchs flew away at the top of their speed. In just over a day they encountered Patriarch Lay. Patriarch Lay and 3 other patriarchs escorted Luli back. The other 5 patriarchs were left to guard the entrances to the eastern land of oceans in case the Asmodeans destroyed all the entrances. Grand Master, Patriarch of Law Enforcement and the others could see Patriarch Lay holding Luli from the distance. They cried out involuntarily. Luli was in a coma and his breathing was so weak that it was almost inaudible. That was not the point. The point was that Luli's black hair had turned white and his skin was wrinkled like that of an old man. He was much thinner. From the distance, he looked like a dying old man. If it were not for the fact that his bones and energy could not lie, no one would believe that this skinny old man was Luli. Luli was only in his 20s. He had reached the human sovereign realm and had a lifespan of 3,000 years. Compared to a long lifespan, Luli was just a child. He was at the age where the sun had just risen and yet, he seemed to be older than the others, seeing that Luli had become a skinny old man, as if he had aged by hundreds of years. Everyone felt bad. Luli had become like this for the sake of the human race, for the sake of all. There were billions of humans. To ask a young man to protect them was shameful in itself. What was more, Luli had sacrificed so much. Whoosh, whoosh. They flew over and surrounded Luli. Patriarch of Law Enforcement ordered Patriarch Hu at once. Patriarch Hu saved the Grand Master. Patriarch Lay put Luli on the ground. Patriarch Hu took out a green pellet and fed it to Luli. Then, he began to check on Luli's condition. Squeak, squeak, Little White came back with Patriarch Hu. Surprisingly, Little White's wounds were healed. But it was covered in blood. It stood next to Luli anxiously and kept barking at Patriarch Hu. Patriarch Hu paid no attention to Little White. After the time for one incense stick to burn, he looked up and said, Grand Master has consumed too much of his source of life. He is not seriously injured. For now, his life is not in danger. That being said, the source of life is the most difficult to recover from. It is hard to rely on regular elixirs. Over time, accidents may occur. Okay. Patriarch of Law Enforcement was relieved to hear that Luli's life was not in danger. There were many elixirs at the Great Land. Worse come to worst, there were more in the Inferno. Luli could recover with time. Patriarch of Law Enforcement turned to Patriarch Lei and asked, "How is the eastern land of oceans? The situation there has stabilized." Patriarch Lei said with certainty, "I left 5 patriarchs to guard the entrances. The Asmodeans have few Earth Immortal Realm warriors. Grand Master has killed the Asmodean Lord and the Dragon Demon has been tamed. The Asmodeans' originator artifact was destroyed. The Asmodeans are no longer capable of fighting us." "Okay." Patriarch of Law Enforcement's eyes glowed. He shouted at once, "Patriarch Huang, go to the eastern land of oceans at once. Do not take over the eastern land of oceans rashly. Guard the entrances." Whoosh whoosh, Patriarch Huang and the other 30 Earth Immortal Realm warriors left. Patriarch of Law Enforcement did not go with them. For him, taking over the eastern land of oceans was not as important as Lu Li's safety. Chapter 897. When Lu Li was brought back to the demon-slaying city, the entire city was in an uproar. A young man at the prime of his life had turned into a dying old man after a trip to the eastern land of oceans in a matter of months. After the news spread, the entire city was in an uproar. Lu Li fought against the Asmodean Lord and the Dragon Demon on his own. He even resorted to something forbidden. As a result, he consumed too much of his origin energy, which resulted in a backlash. His hair turned white and soon, he was on his last breath. Many in the city shed tears in silence when they heard the news. Many knelt in front of the statue of Emperor of Heaven Reverse, praying for Lu Li. But the news that the Asmodean Lord and the Dragon Demon were killed and the eastern land of oceans was exciting. The Asmodean Lord was like a mountain over the heads of the human race. Many people could not sleep well at night, fearing that the Asmodean Lord would come back with his army, break into the demon-slaying city, and enslave all the humans. The death of the Asmodean Lord meant that the threat to the human race was eliminated. The emperors of the other 3 alien races were killed. Last time, when the 4 alien races came, Lu Li and his warriors killed many powerful warriors. The human race was greatly weakened. In other words, even if Lu Li could not recover this time, the human race would not be afraid of the 4 alien races. At least, the human race could enjoy 1,000 years of peace. If Lu Li could recover, the human race would be able to suppress the 4 alien races completely. Even wiping out the 4 alien races would not be a dream. That was why so many people knelt in front of the statue of Emperor of Heaven Reverse and prayed. Of course, many of them were sincerely praying that Lu Li could recover. To them, Lu Li was their guardian and the savior of the human race. Without Lu Li, the demon-slaying city would have been breached and all the humans in the city would have been wiped out. The news inevitably spread to the Central Plains, then to the entire divine Great Land. Lu Xingyang, Lu Ling, and Bai Xiaoshuang were informed at once. Lu Xingyang went to the demon-slaying battleground that very night. Bai Xiaoshuang and Lu Ling teleported over at once and went to the demon-slaying city as well. The Central Plains was in an uproar. Many of Lu Li's enemies were cheered up. If Lu Li died, they would have a chance to stand up and even make a comeback. The old monk of the great Buddhist temple came out in person and entered the demon-slaying city with Prajna. Yi family patriarch, Yi Luo and Jiang Hua followed them. Lu Li was the backer of several forces. If he were to fall, the situation at the Central Plains would change. By that time, the flames of war would rise again, and they might be forced to spit out the territories that they had swallowed. They might even lose their own territories. On the other hand, the Palace of Heaven's Roars, Palace of Immortals' Inquiries and Red Lunar chose to remain silent. For them, the status quo could only be maintained if Lu Li came back to life. If Lu Li died, it would be a golden opportunity for them to change the situation at the Central Plains. Originally, the 12 royal families of the Central Plains shared the world equally. After Lu Li ascended, the Lu family became the most powerful force, the pavilion of delicacy, The tumulus of universe and the great Buddhist temple became the second tier, and the three other forces were relegated to the third tier. Therefore, Lu Li's death was not a bad thing for them, but a good thing. Civilians of the Great Land, on the other hand, didn't care about the conflicts between the forces. Many people worshipped the statue of Emperor of Heaven Reverse at home day and night, praying that Emperor of Heaven Reverse would bless Lu Li. For the civilians, it didn't matter who was the overlord of the Central Plains. What mattered was that it was Lu Li who had saved the people of the Great Land. He was their patron, a hero, and a benefactor of the human race. Now that their benefactor was in trouble and could die, how could they not be worried? In a manner at the demon-slaying city, many powerful warriors gathered. The famous healers of the Great Land were all here. They were all gathered in a castle. Many elixirs were collected. A table in the castle was filled with interspatial rings. Powerful warriors were not equal to healers. Lu Li was not injured. He had consumed too much of his origin energy. His bodily functions were damaged. He was suffering from a backlash. He was getting older, weaker, and weaker. I think we should give Grandmaster a large amount of elixirs at once and some soul-nurturing elixirs at the same time. We cannot wait any longer, idiot. Grandmaster is so weak now. Do you want him to pass away sooner? Those elixirs are so potent. Once Grandmaster can't stand it, the consequences will be unimaginable. I think we should take it slow. Use powerful warriors to pour Xian energy into Grandmaster to stimulate his vitality. Then, use gentle elixirs to nurture him bit by bit. Hallmaster's body is deteriorating, and his aura is weakening. You want to slowly nurse him back to health? I think we should give him strong medicine. You are wrong, a group of healers was arguing inside. They didn't want to submit to each other. It was so noisy inside that the elder of law enforcement's face turned green. The problem was that Patriarch of Law Enforcement did not know who to listen to. In terms of healing, the Dai family was the best at the Great Land. The Dai family had a bloodline skill related to life that could regrow bones and revive the dead. The Dai family was the best choice to treat Lu Li when he was losing his origin energy. However, the Pavilion of Blossoms was destroyed by Lu Li, Lu Xingyang, and the others were panicking. They did not know who to listen to. Lu Li was a weak soul. Who dared to do anything? Who dared to feed him elixirs at random? Alas, alas! Lu Li was lying on the bed like a living dead. Lu Xingyang's face was even older than his own. Bai Xiaoshuang was crying silently. Lu Xingyang's heart was aching. Many patriarchs in the castle were worried. They had thought that with so many healers and elixirs, they could cure Lu Li easily. Little did they expect that things would turn out this way. Master, can't you save Brother Lu? Prajna's eyes were filled with tears. She grabbed the old monk's sleeve. The old monk shook his head and said, Master, you only know how to detoxify. You are not good at healing. I am not sure that I can save Lu Li. As a matter of fact, many others were like the old monk. They did not dare to do anything because they were not sure. Lu Li was too weak. What if Lu Li died right away after the elixirs were administered? Lu Xingyang and the others would tear him apart. The only one whose expressions did not change was Lu Ling. She seemed to always be calm and at ease. She stood next to Lu Li, looking at him quietly as if she could not hear the noise in the castle. Sister. Bai Xiaoshuang suddenly grabbed Lu Ling's hand and said, crying, You are the most resourceful. Think of a way to save our husband. Don't worry. Lu Ling patted Bai Xiaoshuang's back and said, Let's wait a bit longer. A bit longer? Some were surprised. What was Lu Ling waiting for? Many were checking with psychic power. A moment later, Ming Yu came with several old warriors and went into the castle. All of you get out. Lu Ling pulled a long face when she saw Ming Yu and the others. She waved her hand and said in a domineering manner, Patriarch of Law Enforcement, Lu Xingyang and Great-Grandfather 5 were surprised. Lu Xingyang asked Lu Ling, Linger, are you sure? They are better than these people. Lu Ling bowed to the old warriors behind Ming Yu and said, Ding family patriarchs, thank you. They were Ding Gui, the family patriarch of the Shennong race, and 3 patriarchs. Ding Gui did not say anything. He went to Lu Li and checked carefully. Then, he bowed and said, Lady Ling, don't worry. I have brought fruits from the prison of wood. I am 80% sure that I can cure Saint Lord. Okay. Chapter 898. Warriors of the Shennong race were not strong. Their main skill was healing. They did not have the amazing bloodline skills like the Dai family, but they did have powerful skills. Lu Ling did not trust any healer of the Great Land. She had been waiting for the family patriarch of the Shennong race to come. Therefore, she did not care about what those healers said. Lu Ling told the patriarchs to guard outside after they were driven out. Ding Gui began to treat Lu Li. Like before, Ding Gui and the 3 patriarchs used the skills of their race to pour life energy into Lu Li to keep him alive and to help him recover. As the strands of green energy poured into Lu Li's body, he began to look better. His qi and energy grew stronger and he could breathe again. Good! Bai Xiaoshuang shouted with joy. Lu Ling winked at her, telling her not to say anything and not to disturb the treatment of Ding Gui and the others. Ding Gui and the others kept on pouring life energy into Lu Li. They finally stopped after 6 hours. Their faces were filled with exhaustion, especially Ding Gui, who seemed to be unable to stand steadily. He swayed and almost fell. Ming Yu hurried over to help Ding Gui. The latter closed his eyes to rest for a while. Waving his hand, he said, Take out the wood fruit. Make a decoction with some fruits from the prison of wood and feed it to Saint Lord. Ming Yu took out some fragrant fruits from an interspatial ring at once. He brewed the decoction according to Ding Gui's instructions and fed it to Lu Li. After 6 hours of treatment by Ding Gui and the others, Lu Li had recovered. His wrinkled and blotchy skin was glowing. The age spots were gone. He seemed to be dozens of years younger. After the decoction, Lu Li's breaths were steady and his breaths were steady. He still looked old and his hair was still white, but his life was no longer in danger. Ding Gui and the other patriarchs took the elixirs and sat on the ground to rest. Several hours later, they began to pour life energy into Lu Li's body again. As a matter of fact, for Ding Gui and the others, pouring life energy into Lu Li's body was consuming. But Lu Li was the Saint Lord of the Shennong race, so they had to do it. The Shennong race used to be oppressed by other races. After Lu Li became the master of the deserted world, and he saved Bai Qiushue, he gave the Shennong race a large piece of land and a high status. To the Shennong race, Lu Li was their savior. How could they not do their best? That was it. Every couple of hours, Ding Gui and the others would pour life force into Lu Li's body. Lu Li would take the potion once a day. Lu Li's recovery was remarkable. He was so thin that he was merely skin and bones. Now, he was recovering. His aged face and skin were becoming younger. Lu Li and Bai Xiaoshuang could put their minds at ease. The spirit fruits in the prison of wood were very useful. Wood-type spirit fruits were filled with large amounts of elemental life force. What Lu Li was losing was his vitality, his life force. Otherwise, his hair wouldn't have turned white and he wouldn't have aged. Lu's Hall Ling Ling have a spirit. More powerful was Spirit of the Ling King Lu Li had lost. Patriarch of Law Enforcement and the others were relieved. They sent the news out. The entire demon-slaying city was in high spirit. Then, the news spread to the Great Land. Many people were overjoyed. They spread the news everywhere. The streets were filled with people celebrating over Lu Li's recovery. The forces that had been on the rise, such as the Yiksha race and the Pavilion of Blossoms, went into hiding. Leaders of the Palace of Immortals' inquiries, The Red Lunar and the Palace of Heaven's Roars were disappointed. They went to the demon-slaying city to visit Luli in person. Patriarch of Law Enforcement turned his attention to the eastern land of oceans, leaving Luli behind. The eastern land of oceans reported that a prefecture had been conquered and 3 entrances were secured. Human armies could flow into the eastern land of oceans. It was confirmed that the Asmodeans no longer had the power to fight against the human armies. This was the best chance to wipe out the Asmodeans. Patriarch of Law Enforcement ordered 2 million warriors from the Great Land to be mobilized. Together with those from the demon-slaying city, the total number was 4 million. They marched toward the entrance to the eastern land of oceans. Patriarch of Law Enforcement ordered that if the Asmodeans resisted, they would all be killed. They must conquer the eastern land of oceans and destroy the Asmodeans. The millions of human warriors were thrilled. This was a significant event that would be recorded in history. They could leave their names in the annals of history. More and more warriors poured in. Patriarch Lay became the commander. He divided the army into 2 groups. Each group would be led by more than a dozen Earth Immortal Realm patriarchs. One group would attack the Beijing city, and the other would sweep across the entire eastern land of oceans. There were not many Earth Immortal Realm Asmodeans left. Over half of them were killed by Luli at the demon-slaying city. This time, Luli killed more at the eastern land of oceans. There were less than 10 Earth Immortal Realm Asmodeans left. More importantly, the Asmodean Lord had passed away and the originator artifact was destroyed. The morale of the Asmodeans had plummeted. The news of the fight between Luli and the Asmodean Lord was spread out. To the Asmodeans, Luli was as strong as an immortal. Who could stop him? The 2 groups of Asmodeans marched forward with irresistible force. All the Asmodeans that tried to resist were killed. The surrendered Asmodeans were imprisoned together, waiting for Luli and Patriarch of Law Enforcement to make a decision. Many major Asmodean families began to evacuate. Where there was life, there was hope. Without the eastern land of oceans, the Asmodeans could linger on in the small world. But if they stayed, death would be their only outcome. Half a month. Half of the prefectures at the eastern land of oceans had been conquered. Tens of millions of Asmodeans were slaughtered. The other group of Asmodeans had arrived at the Beijing city. After a fierce battle, 4 Asmodean Earth Immortal Realm warriors were killed, and the Beijing city fell. But there were several Earth Immortal Realm Asmodeans hiding in the altar. The altar was activated and the formation was strong. It would take some time to crack it open. Patriarch Lay ordered the army to attack together. The shield was strong and it seemed to be supported by divine energy. But how long could the shield last when 2 million warriors were attacking continuously? The other group of Asmodeans was unstoppable. Prefectures at the eastern land of oceans fell one after another. The number of Asmodeans being slaughtered was increasing. Even if they could not conquer the eastern land of oceans, the Asmodeans would be doomed. Patriarch of Law Enforcement and Patriarch Lay had given the order that only those who resisted would be killed. That being said, human warriors would not abide by the military rules. The Asmodeans and humans were mortal enemies. Too many humans had died in the hands of the Asmodeans. Now that they had a chance to seek revenge, how could the human warriors control themselves? More and more reports of victory were sent back. The people of the demon-slaying city and the great land were overjoyed. This was an unprecedented victory. This was the first time since Emperor of Heaven Reverse ascended to the divinity that the human warriors had achieved such a great victory. Another half a month passed. Apart from the altar, the entire eastern land of oceans had fallen. All the cities had fallen. Asmodeans had lost billions of warriors. Blood flowed like rivers at the eastern land of oceans and mountains of corpses. 3 days later, the shield around the altar was breached. The remaining powerful Asmodeans were all slaughtered. The Asmodeans had been wiped out. That being said, before the chief patriarch of the Asmodeans passed away, Patriarch Lei and the others' joy of victory vanished. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. The messengers have broken down barriers between several universes. In a couple of years, they will come to the Heaven Reverse universe. The messengers are here for Luli. By then, all of you will die, all of you. P.S. I still owe 5 chapters. I have to return them next month. On the 8th of next month, I will be attending the annual meeting of the Yuan Guru in Shanghai. All the gurus will be there. I cannot turn it down. I have to save the chapters in case I miss updates. Chapter 899. The 2,000,000 warriors heard the words of the chief patriarch of the Asmodeans. There was no way to seal off the information. Patriarch Lei was smart. After the time for a few breaths, he burst into laughter and shouted, "You are talking nonsense when you are at death's door? Demonists? Just a small world and a few demons. Let me tell you the truth. Grand Master has already leveled that small world and all your demonists have been killed." Boom, boom, boom. As soon as Patriarch Lei finished his words, the chief patriarch of the Asmodeans was killed. Patriarch Lei didn't give him a chance to argue. The warriors didn't think too much of it. Luli could kill the Asmodean Lord and tame a horrifying beast summoned by the Asmodean Lord. Demonists were nothing. Clean up the battlefield and search everywhere. Destroy all the formations in the altar. Patriarch Lei waved his hand to disperse. The altar was where generations of Asmodean lords resided. There must be many mystical materials and treasures here. There were also many strange and mysterious formations that must be destroyed. There were many secret skills of the Asmodeans. As long as they were destroyed, it would be impossible for the Asmodeans to summon any evil beings in the future. The soldiers spread out in all directions and began to search the entire mountain excitedly. A group of elders gathered together and looked at each other with grave expressions on their faces. Naturally, the patriarchs knew that Patriarch Lei's words were a lie. He was trying to calm the warriors down in case the news got out and caused panic. Demonists? Barriers between worlds? Coming in a few years? Specifically for Luli? From these few words, all the elders felt the pressure. Break through the barrier of a few worlds? This barrier was definitely not a barrier between small worlds. Even if the barrier between small worlds could be broken through, it would still be a heaven-defying method. There used to be a passageway between the deserted world and the northern desert, but it was destroyed by God of Meng. Therefore, it was impossible to reach the northern desert from the deserted world. If someone could break down spatial barriers and reach the northern desert from the deserted world, it would be incredible. It would take several years to break down spatial barriers, and several barriers between worlds had been broken down. It meant that the demonists were from a faraway place. Luli had learned from the chief patriarch of the Asmodeans that the demonists were much more powerful than Luli. Thinking of the dragon demon, Patriarch Lei and the others felt their hearts weighed down. They hoped that a group of powerful warriors as powerful as the dragon demon would come. That would be a disaster for the Heaven Reverse universe. Elder Huang. Elder Lei thought for a while and said in a low voice, "The ocean land of the east has been stabilized. I can take care of things here. Please take some people back and pass the news to the Deacon Patriarch and the Hall Master." Elder Huang nodded. There was no point in staying any longer. The eastern land of oceans had been stabilized. All that was left was to plunder resources. As for how to deal with the ocean land of the east, it was up to the Deacon Patriarch and the others to decide. He had to go back. Elder Huang brought the two of them with him and left quickly. Elder Lei, on the other hand, started making arrangements for the various regions of the ocean land of the east. After conquering such a large piece of territory, occupying many resources and treasured lands, countless cities, and capturing countless slaves, as well as many survivors who had escaped and were hiding, he had to make arrangements. The border city of the demon-slaying city was peaceful. Lu Li's condition was stable, so the patriarchs did not have to worry. The ocean land of the east had been receiving good news again and again. It seemed that the ocean land of the east was under control. The only thing that worried Patriarch of Law Enforcement and the others was that Lu Li had not woken up yet. Lu Li's appearance had recovered and his body was in good condition. Yet, he did not wake up. Another thing was that Lu Li's hair was still white, not black. Ding Gui gave a vague explanation. Lu Li had consumed too much of his origin energy, which damaged his bodily functions and soul. His hair did not turn black, because some of his bodily functions were destroyed. As for why he did not wake up, it was because he had been too weak previously. His soul was in a state of self-preservation and was resting. When could Lu Li wake up? Ding Gui was not sure about this. It all depended on Lu Li's ability to survive. If his soul had been sleeping, then he would never wake up. If his will to survive was strong, then he would wake up soon. Bai Xiaoshuang stayed by Lu Li's side every day. Bai Qiushue and Jiang Qiling were still in the wicked bead. If Lu Li did not wake up, they would never come out. Lu Ling did not stay at the demon-slaying city. She went back to the city of mystic armor and mobilized powerful warriors and armies to hunt down the remnants of the Pavilion of Blossoms, Yiksha race and Life League. When Lu Li was brought back with heavy injuries, those remnants were ready to make a move. The Lu family was informed. In the end, the Lu family didn't take any action. But how could Lu Ling not be angry? As soon as Lu Ling was angered, a storm of blood rose at the Central Plains. Many powerful warriors were mobilized. Many remnants of the Life League, Pavilion of Blossoms and the Yiksha race were found. More than a dozen bases were wiped out. The address of the small world where the Yiksha race was hiding was obtained. Once the location was known, the outcome that awaited the Yiksha race would be miserable. Lu Ling had always been cold-blooded to her enemies. She mobilized more than a dozen Earth Immortal Realm warriors and tens of thousands of warriors to purge that small world. Of the more than a dozen Earth Immortal Realm warriors, half were from the Red Lunar, the Palace of Immortals Inquiries and the Palace of Heaven's Roars. More than half of the tens of thousands of warriors were from the three forces. It didn't matter that these warriors were the vanguard. After the small world of the Yiksha race was destroyed, Lu Ling didn't give them any resources. In other words, the three forces were working for Lu Ling for nothing. She didn't even pay for the burial of the fallen warriors. Many warriors of the three forces were complaining. But the three leaders didn't dare to say a word. They all knew that Lu Ling was getting back at them for their attitude a while ago. The three of them accepted the punishment obediently. They wouldn't do anything as long as Lu Li was still alive. Lu Ling went back, but Lu Xingyang didn't. He only had one grandson and his son was not with him. How could he not stay by Lu Li's side? A few days later, Patriarch Huang came back with someone and spread the news that the eastern land of oceans had been conquered. The entire demon-slaying city was in an uproar. This was a great victory for the human race, second only to the Emperor of Heaven Reverse's victory over the other races. There was another piece of information that had yet to be spread. Many patriarchs were not allowed to know. Only Patriarch of Law Enforcement was informed. Emissary? Patriarch of Law Enforcement frowned. The joy of conquering the eastern land of oceans was gone. Instead, he was solemn. Descend. Patriarch of Law Enforcement was more concerned about this word. The fact that the chief patriarch of the Asmodeans used this word meant that the emissary came from a universe more powerful than the Heaven Reverse universe. It could even be the universe where the Asmodean emperor was from, the divinity. If the emissary was from the divinity, even the Heaven Reverse universe would be doomed, let alone a group of them. He is awake. Grand Master is awake. Right at that moment, from a manor behind the Hall of Patriarchs came a shout of surprise. It was a patriarch that stayed there. Chapter 900. In the yard, Luli slowly woke up. He closed his eyes and rested for an hour before he opened his eyes again. He felt he had been sleeping for decades. His body was so weak that he could barely sit up. As a matter of fact, he felt his body was recovering well. But from the depth of his soul, he felt powerless. He didn't even want to move a finger. He was like a patient who had just recovered from a serious illness. His head was heavy and he could hardly breathe. Darling! Bai Xiaoshuang had been staying by her husband's side. She threw herself at Luli in pleasant surprise and burst into tears. Luli had just woken up. He almost lost his breath and passed out again when she threw herself at him. Fortunately, Ding Gui was here. He helped Bai Xiaoshuang up at once. She blushed and felt ashamed. But she kept her eyes on Luli, fearing that he would pass out again. Saint Lord, how do you feel? Ding Gui asked with concern. He did not use psychic power because Luli was in good physical condition. The fact that he could wake up meant that he was fine. Luli opened his mouth and said in a feeble voice, I am a bit weak. Let everyone out. I need to rest for a few days. Ding Gui understood. He waved his hand and said, Saint Lord has given the order. Leave. I will take care of him. Lu Xingyang was in the yard. He did not ask any questions when he heard Lu Li's words. He just nodded with a smile and said, Off you go. Bai Xiaoshuang wanted to stay but she was taken out by Lu Feishu. Bai Xiaoshuang was an active person. With her here, Lu Li would not need to rest. Everyone left. The gate was guarded by a patriarch of the demon-slaying hall. Patriarch of law enforcement and the others were not allowed in. Of course, Patriarch of Law Enforcement would not be so impulsive. Making sure that Luli had woken up, Patriarch of Law Enforcement felt relieved as if everything would be fine with Luli taking care of it. I am ashamed Patriarch of Law Enforcement was Lu Li's great-grandfather. How could he have such thoughts? How could he rely on his great-grandson to take care of everything? This made the law enforcement elder feel very ashamed. I think it is time for me to cultivate. Patriarch of Law Enforcement stood in the yard for a moment. A glint of determination rose in his eyes. Previously, when Xing Mu was here, he and Deputy Master would take care of everything. Luli didn't have much time to cultivate. Now that Luli was a hands-off manager, Luli had even less time to cultivate. At this moment, he felt useless. He had to rely on his great-grandson Luli for everything. The great devil god had been killed, and the ocean land of the east had been leveled to the ground. The remaining 3 races were no longer a threat. Patriarch of Law Enforcement thought it was time for him to cultivate in seclusion. However, who could manage the demon-slaying hall when he was in closed-door cultivation? Luli never liked these chores. What was more, Luli needed a lot of time to cultivate. Patriarch of Law Enforcement didn't want Luli to waste time on trifles. He didn't trust the other patriarchs. Either they were not capable enough. After much consideration, he turned to Lu Xingyang. He waved his hand and took Lu Xingyang to a side hall. Patriarch of Law Enforcement looked at his son, but he didn't feel much affection for his son because his soul had been reconstructed for many years. Xingyang, Patriarch of Law Enforcement asked about the Lu family first. Is everything going well at the City of Mystic Armor? Lu Xingyang bowed with respect. Father, everything is going well. Recently, because of Li our family is gaining fame. Many powerful warriors are coming to us. We have 5 patriarchs at the Earth Immortal Realm, and we have 3 pieces of land. Our mystical materials and resources are growing fast. We can train more powerful warriors as well. Call me Patriarch of Law Enforcement. Patriarch of Law Enforcement said coldly, I have reconstructed my soul. I have nothing to do with the Lu family anymore. I am Patriarch of Law Enforcement here. Do you understand? Yes. Lu Xingyang's expressions didn't change. That being said, Lu Xingyang was delighted to hear that Patriarch of Law Enforcement had nothing to do with the Lu family. Patriarch of Law Enforcement used to say that there was nothing to do with the Liu family. If the Liu family is stable, Patriarch of Law Enforcement thought about it and said, then can you come to the demon-slaying hall and help? You can let go of the Liu clan and leave it to your fifth uncle. Come to the demon-slaying hall and help? Lu Xingyang was surprised. He had just woken up and the Liu family was developing rapidly. How could he leave the Liu family? The next few years were critical. They could lay the foundation for the Liu family's 10,000 years of dominance. Lu Xingyang was not reluctant to be the family patriarch of the Liu family. He was just reluctant. He thought about it and said, Patriarch of Law Enforcement, the Liu family has many things to deal with. I would like to stay for a few more years. What can happen to the Liu family? Patriarch of Law Enforcement said coldly. He waved his hand in a domineering manner. Your Uncle Five is strong. He can handle it. Who at the Great Land dares to offend the Liu family? You don't have to reconstruct your soul at the demon-slaying hall. You can take care of the Liu family. Also, if you take my position, who will have the courage to offend the Liu family? Lu Xingyang didn't like the first part of Patriarch of Law Enforcement's words. However, the last part made Lu Xingyang open his eyes. He trembled and said, Your position? Patriarch of Law Enforcement was second only to the Lord Patriarch of Law Enforcement. He was practically the actual commander-in-chief of the human race because Lu Li was not in charge. Patriarch of Law Enforcement was in charge of the entire demon-slaying hall, which meant he was in charge of the entire human race. Of course. Patriarch of Law Enforcement said casually, Are you going to be an average patriarch at the demon-slaying hall? If so, why are you here? You might as well manage the Liu family. But, managing the demon-slaying hall was too tempting. He would rather rebuild his soul. If he could take this position, the Great Land would be the Liu family's territory. Who would dare to disobey him? Lu Xingyang thought about it and said with hesitation, If I take your position, I need to cultivate to reach the semi-god realm. Patriarch of Law Enforcement explained. Oh, I see. Lu Xingyang understood. Patriarch of Law Enforcement had been at the peak of the Earth immortal realm for many years and never spent time on reaching the semi-god realm. He must have made up his mind to give up his position. Lu Xingyang thought for a while and said with uncertainty, I am afraid many patriarchs of the demon-slaying hall will not accept me taking your position. After all, I am a junior and I am not the best. I haven't joined the demon-slaying hall yet. What do you mean by that? Patriarch of Law Enforcement waved his hand. Lu Li is the Grand Master. He killed the Asmodean Lord and wiped out the Asmodeans. His prestige is high. Plus, I support you. Who will not accept you? If they don't accept me, just kill them. Kill them. This time, it was Lu Xingyang's turn to be speechless. But on second thought, Patriarch of Law Enforcement did have a point. Lu Li's prestige was high. Plus, he was Patriarch of Law Enforcement. Who would not accept him? Even if someone was not convinced, he could just kill them. Okay, I will take this position. Chapter 901. Lu Li was still resting. Nobody could go in. He was too weak. It wasn't the weakness of his physical body, nor was it the weakness of his soul. To be precise, it was the weakness of his mind. The Slayer's blood was overwhelming. It seemed to have burned up all of Lu Li's energy and consumed all of his source of life. Ding Gui and the patriarchs of the Shenong race had been pouring their source of life into Lu Li. But that was forced upon him. Lu Li's source of life was gone. He needed some time to adapt and recover. Patriarchs of the demon-slaying hall were relieved to know that Lu Li had woken up. However, the next day, a piece of news came like a bolt from the blue. None of the patriarchs could accept it. Patriarch of Law Enforcement had decided to retire. He would no longer assume any position at the demon-slaying hall and focus on hiding. Everything was fine at the demon-slaying hall. Patriarch of Law Enforcement's retirement was not a big deal. What mattered was that Patriarch of Law Enforcement said he would pass his position to Lu Xingyang. The position of Patriarch of Law Enforcement had always been the second in the demon-slaying hall. Throughout history, not even Deputy Master or Third Master could compete for this position. That was because Patriarch of Law Enforcement could enforce laws and regulation. He had the power to decide life and death. Basically, the position was chosen by the Grand Masters of each generation. The position had to be approved by the Hall of Patriarch. It was not like the family patriarch of the Great Land, which could be passed on to anyone at will. Lu Xingyang was the son of Patriarch of Law Enforcement, which in itself was criticized. What was more, Lu Xingyang was not strong and he had never joined the demon-slaying hall. The demon-slaying hall had a strict promotion system. To rise to the top, one must at least have some experience. Only those like Lu Li, who had made great contributions to the demon-slaying hall and the human race, could rise to the top in a single bound. Lu Li was promoted because he killed Ji Zhantian, and Emperor of Heaven Reverse issued a decree in person. Otherwise, the patriarchs of the demon-slaying hall would not agree to Lu Li's promotion. At least a large number of patriarchs would have to die in order to suppress Lu Li. What did Lu Xingyang do? What could he do for the demon-slaying hall and the human race? Theoretically speaking, Lu Xingyang was the junior of many patriarchs, who would feel comfortable when a junior who was not powerful and did not have a great reputation was above their heads. After the law enforcement elder gathered the other elders and brought up this point, almost half of the elders objected. Not many patriarchs remained in the demon-slaying city. Half of them were at the ocean land of the east. When the other half came back, there would be more objections. The law enforcement elder didn't waste his breath. His reply silenced everyone with one sentence. Xingyang didn't contribute? Without Xingyang, there would be no Lu Li. Wasn't this a great contribution? If anyone is dissatisfied, wait for the hall master to recover, and you can talk to him yourself. The law enforcement elder turned around and left, leaving behind a group of elders who looked at each other in dismay. Many of the elders who had wanted to clamor earlier had now quieted down. Ask Lu Li for advice? He said that he was going to oppose his grandfather taking the position of law enforcement elder? Would he be killed by Lu Li in one move? Lu Li's brutality was well known in the world. He had killed his way to where he was. At the northern desert, he had turned the northern desert into a river of blood. At the central plains, he had turned the central plains into a mountain of corpses. Later, at the demon-slaying battleground, he had disturbed the peace of the demon-slaying hall, the most powerful force of the central plains, the Samsara Palace, the Pavilion of Blossoms, the Hades Society, the Life League, the Yiksha race, and even Ji Zhantian and Li Shang. All those who were Lu Li's enemies had turned into bones and were buried under the ground. Lu Li was a killer. Now, his great-grandpa wanted to promote his grandfather to the top. How could they object? Make a scene? Threaten and protest? The Asmodean Lord's body was just brought back by Patriarch Huang not long ago. The Asmodean Lord's chest was pierced through and his head was crushed. The Asmodean Lord was at the semi-god realm, and he was wearing a quasi-relic armor. How could Lu Li punch through his body? What kind of strength was that? What kind of abilities? There was also the dragon demon. One of the patriarchs brought back by Patriarch Huang witnessed the battle. Through him, everyone learned the details of the battle. They were shocked by the strength of the dragon demon. How could Lu Li tame such a powerful dragon demon? Become his spiritual beast? Therefore, nobody had any doubts about Lu Li's abilities. He could kill all the powerful warriors of the human race at once. Some even compared Lu Li's abilities with those of the Emperor of Heaven Reverse before he ascended to the divinity. Think about it, given Lu Li's current prestige and abilities, who dared to challenge his authority? Who dared to pick a fight? Once Luli was enraged, it would be a light punishment if he slapped the person to death. On the other hand, the person's family could be wiped out. As a result, the impossible gradually became possible. The patriarch said nothing. Nobody dared to say anything out loud. Even if they were to complain secretly, it would be pointless. After 3 days of rest, Luli had recovered a lot. That being said, he was still weak. He needed to rest for a month or two. What surprised him was that his hair could not turn black. A young man with white hair. This was not a good sign. Moreover, if some of his bodily functions were damaged, it might have a great impact on his future cultivation. However, Dingue could not do anything about it. He had given Luli plenty of life energy. Luli's body was fine except for his hair, which Dingue found strange. Is it because of the Slayer? Luli remembered that the Slayer was a young man with white hair. Was it because of the Slayer's blood? Luli checked his body to make sure that there were no other problems. He decided to let it go. Though he was not used to having white hair, he did not mind his appearance. Besides, many ancient races had colorful hair. He would be fine after some time. Buzzing, Luli took out the wicked bead. It glowed. Jiang Qiling and Bai Qiushue, who were cultivating, were teleported out. They looked at Luli at once. They were frightened to see that Luli's hair was white and his face was pale. "All right, don't make a fuss." Luli stopped them from asking any more questions. He pointed to the outside and said, "We have returned to the demon-slaying city. The Asmodean Lord has been killed. I was wounded but I have recovered. I am fine now." Luli asked Dingue to leave and comforted them for a while. Not long afterward, Patriarch of Law Enforcement came in. He told them that he was going to cultivate and that Lu Xingyang would take over his position. Luli had no objection. The demon-slaying city was not a big deal. Lu Xingyang used to be the family patriarch of the Lu family. He was capable. As for the patriarchs of the demon-slaying hall, Luli did not care. Patriarch of Law Enforcement then told Luli what the chief patriarch of the Asmodeans said before his death. Luli was taken aback. Others might not understand this sentence, but Luli understood the deeper meaning behind it. Messengers? Powerful warriors of the mage imperial universe? Luli already had his suspicions when the Asmodean Lord knew about the wicked bead. What the chief patriarch of the Asmodeans said confirmed his suspicions. Powerful warriors of the mage imperial universe must be trying to break down barriers and invade the Heaven Reverse universe. In the 9 universes and the Prison of Gold, Luli was not afraid of powerful warriors of the mage imperial universe because they could not crack the wicked bead. However, if powerful warriors of the mage imperial universe came to the Heaven Reverse universe, then things would get out of hand. Chapter 902. Get Brother 7 of Feng and Wu Feng here. Luli thought for a while and asked a patriarch to send a message to the 2 Earth Immortal Realm soul slave. One of the 2 patriarchs was from the Feng family of the Central Imperial Universe, and the other from the Wu family of the Mage Imperial Universe. Luli could get some information from them. The 2 were guarding the Serene Cloud City. It would take some time for them to teleport over. Luli told Patriarch of Law Enforcement to cultivate and he would take care of the rest. Patriarch of Law Enforcement was aware that he could not help Luli much at the moment. It was pointless to overthink. Only when he reached the semi-god realm could he be of some help to Luli. Patriarch of Law Enforcement went to cultivate. Luli stayed in the castle where Xing Mu used to live, deep in thought. In the old days, Luli might panic when he learned that warriors of the Mage Imperial Universe were coming. But now, he did not panic because he had something up his sleeve. Dragon Demon. The Dragon Demon was so powerful that it could smash an average semi-god realm warrior to death. When it grew up, it could even kill warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm. Were there any warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm in the Mage Imperial Universe? How many were there in the Mage Imperial universe? What were their realms? Would warriors from other universes come to invade the Heaven Reverse universe? Luli was not sure. That was why he asked Brother Seven of Yang and Wu Feng. Anyways, as long as he could train the dragon demon, he would not be afraid even if all the warriors of the 9 universes came. The question was, how to train the dragon demon. Luli was troubled. He could not go to the Great Land and capture young boys and girls. Feeding the beast with humans? Would he still be a human being? He would never do such a thing. Luli would not even have the heart to feed the Asmodeans with young boys and girls, let alone humans. He believed that humans were humans because they had humanity. Without humanity, no matter how powerful he was, he would be no different from the Asmodean Lord. When I recover, I can take the dragon demon around and see what else it can eat apart from young boys and girls. Luli touched the tattoo between his eyebrows and thought to himself. Apart from the dragon demon, he had the line diagram. He had only learned one diagram. If he could learn a few more, his realm and combat abilities would be greatly improved. It would take several years before the powerful warriors of the Mage Imperial universe would arrive. He still had time. While he was thinking, Lu Jingyang came in to discuss something with Luli. Now that he had taken over Patriarch of Law Enforcement's position, he would have to deal with the eastern land of oceans. He wanted to ask for Luli's opinion. Grandfather. Luli looked at Lu Jingyang with passion and said, "You are in charge of this, or you can discuss with the patriarchs. You do not have to ask me for specific matters. I'll give you the authority. If anyone is dissatisfied, tell them to come and find me." All right. Lu Jingyang was emboldened by Lu Li's words. He asked no more questions and went to gather the patriarchs for a discussion. The other patriarchs were all outside, but Lu Li didn't see any of them. He just asked Jiang Qiling to send a message to Lu Jingyang. He was not in charge. Jiang Tianshun was overjoyed. He strongly supported Lu Jingyang. The Earth Immortal Realm Patriarchs of the Great Buddhist Temple of Tumulus of Universe supported Lu Jingyang as well because they were allies with the Lu family. The eastern land of oceans was a juicy piece of meat. If Lu Jingyang was in charge, the major families could share the benefits. Lu Li paid no mind to these trifles. He rested for several days. Finally, he was almost recovered. The 2 Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves came as well. Lu Li told them what the chief patriarch of the Asmodeans said. It is very likely that warriors of the Mage Imperial universe are coming. Brother Seven of Feng and Wu Feng looked at each other. Brother Seven of Feng said, "As a matter of fact, the Mage Imperial universe worships the Asmodean Emperor as well. He is a super mighty warrior in the divinity. Since the Asmodeans know about the wicked bead and said they are coming, they must be from the Mage Imperial universe." Wu Feng was from the Mage Imperial universe, and he was one of the patriarchs of the Wu family. Back then, Lu Li let Wu Xie go but not Wu Feng. Back then, Lu Li planned to bring them back to the Heaven Reverse universe. Wu Feng nodded. They should be powerful warriors from the Mage Imperial universe. Even so, it will be difficult for them to reach the Heaven Reverse universe. According to my estimates, we'll need to break through at least 7 or 8 world barriers. It'll take a long time. Lu Li turned to Wu Feng and asked, "How many years do you think it will take for us to arrive at the Heaven Reverse universe?" Wu Feng thought about it. He and Brother Seven of Feng were calculating. Eventually they came to a conclusion. If everything goes well, it should be in 3 to 4 years. This requires several warriors of the Mage Imperial universe to work together, and they must not stop. 3 or 4 years, all right. Lu Li calmed down a bit. 3 to 4 years should be enough. During that time, his realm and abilities should be improved. He could take good care of the dragon demon. What do you know about the dragon demon? Lu Li asked Wu Feng. If the Asmodean Lord knew how to summon the dragon demon, then the Mage Imperial universe must know about it. I'm not sure, Wu Feng's answer disappointed Lu Li. Wu Feng explained, I have heard about summoning demonic beasts from the upper realm. My clan's king should be able to summon it as well, but this is a top secret that we do not have the qualifications to know. Then do you know what to use to raise the dragon demon? Lu Li told him about the dragon demon, stating that he did not want to use young girls to raise the dragon demon. He hoped that Wu Feng could give him some useful information. I don't know, Wu Feng's answer disappointed Lu Li. He said, this kind of beast should be from the upper realm. There is no record of it in the Mage Imperial universe. Young master, you can try it and see if the dragon demon will eat it. Okay. You can go now. Lu Li couldn't get any more information out of them, so he asked them to leave. He thought about it and left with Little White and the twins. He did not stay in the demon-slaying city. He teleported to the Central Plains directly. At the city of Mystic Armor, Lu Li asked Patriarch 8 to capture some young Xian beasts at once. He believed that since the dragon demon liked young boys and girls, then the young Xian beasts might eat them. At the same time, he asked Patriarch 8 to prepare various mystical materials to see what the dragon demon would eat. As long as the dragon demon could eat them, Lu Li would try his best to feed the dragon demon. 10 days later, Patriarch 8 said that everything was ready. It was in a secret stronghold outside the city of Mystic Armor. It was a quiet place with only a few disciples of the Lu family. Let's go. Lu Li flew over with Lu Ling, Jiang Qiling, and Bai Qiushue. They arrived at a secluded valley. There were thousands of warriors here. All kinds of mystical beasts were captured, and they were all tied up with demon-trapping chains. There were many mystical materials scattered all over the place. Buzzing. A glow came from between Lu Li's eyebrows. A ray of red light came out and took shape in midair. Soon, the red light turned into a huge beast. Jiang Qiling, Bai Qiushue, and Bai Xiaoshuang had never seen the dragon demon in person. When the dragon demon showed up, they were all overwhelmed by its powerful energy. Bai Xiaoshuang's realm was low. Her face turned pale with fright. Lu Ling had always been able to keep a straight face. This time, however, she turned pale. The energy of the dragon demon was horrifying. Out of instinct, she felt fear and despair. Hoot, hoot, the dragon demon screamed and lowered its head to Lu Li. Little White had recovered. Standing on Lu Li's shoulder, Little White stared at the dragon demon with pride. Little White, ask him if he wants to eat these. Lu Li gave an order to Little White. Little White squealed. The dragon demon threw a glance at Little White with disdain. The dragon demon looked away after a while. Lu Li was troubled. They had brought over 1,000 kinds of mystical materials and hundreds of Xian beasts. How come the dragon demon was not interested in any of them? Did he really have to catch young boys and girls for the dragon demon to eat? P.S. Happy New Year. I recommend a book, Pretentious Criminals from a Different World, by an unknown author. The title is impressive. You can go and read it. Chapter 903. Among the thousands of spirit materials, there were pills, spirit fruits, and all kinds of strange spirit herbs of heaven and earth. The Xian beasts were all cubs of different kinds. There were even cubs of 5th or 6th rank Xian beasts. But the dragon demon did not even look at them. It was clear that it was not interested. Lu Li did not know what the dragon demon was going to eat. The dragon demon was so huge. If it did not eat, its abilities would decline instead of growing. Are there beast kings nearby? Lu Li asked Patriarch 8 after some thought. If the dragon demon was going to eat beast kings, there were some at the Great Land. Lu Li wouldn't mind even if he had to capture all the beast kings and feed them to the dragon demon. Patriarch 8 was familiar with this. He answered, yes, there is one at Mount Dongming, thousands of miles to the west. It is a powerful beast king. Let's go. Luli put the dragon demon back between his eyebrows and flew to the west with Patriarch 8 and the others. Given their speed, they arrived in less than an hour. There was a mountain range with many Xian beasts. This must be a place for Lu family disciples to cultivate, right? Luli checked with psychic power and saw through it right away. This place was too close to the city of mystic armor. There was a beast king and so many Xian beasts here, which would threaten the safety of civilians near the city of mystic armor. The Lu family must have wiped them out unless they left them here on purpose. Yes. Patriarch 8 nodded and said, because there is a beast king here, so many Xian beasts can gather here. We have an agreement with the beast king that he cannot step out of the mountain range. This has always been a place for our disciples to cultivate. Let's go. Luli led them toward the mountain in the center. Along the way, they encountered many Xian beasts. However, Jiang Qiling was at the Earth Immortal Realm and Luli and the others were strong as well. The average Xian beasts did not have the courage to attack them. Soon, they arrived at a mountain in the center. Before they were close enough, they sensed a surge of horrifying energy. They heard a hair-raising roar. A boa's head poked out from a cave. Dragon boa? Jiang Qiling took a look and nodded to herself. Good heavens! The head of the dragon boa has turned red. It is going to turn into a dragon. I think it will have a chance to reach the Earth Immortal Realm after a while. Luli took a few glances and agreed with her comment. This Beast King was much stronger than the Beast Kings he had met before. Its aura was very ferocious, and its huge python head looked a little like a dragon. If it was given more time to cultivate, it could really transform into a dragon. Chi, the dragon python flicked its forked tongue, its glass-like eyes glinting with a cold light, and the two horns on its head glowed with a red light. Its body kept darting out of the cave, and by now, its body had already reached a length of hundreds of feet. The dragon boa did not attack. It seemed that it was afraid of Patriarch 8 and Jiang Qiling. Chi. It kept scurrying out and letting out a horrifying sound from time to time, as if warning Luli and the others to leave or it would attack. I wonder if the dragon demon likes snake meat? Luli thought to himself. While he was pondering, the dragon boa down below could not stand it any longer. With a body of more than 100 feet long, it leaped up and was about to spit out a plume of black mist. Scram! Luli snorted. He did not do anything. A red glare came from between his eyebrows as the dragon demon came into being in midair. As soon as the horrifying energy came out, the dragon boa was seized with terror. It had been leaping up but now, it curled up on the ground like a dead snake. It did not even dare to lift its head. This had always been the case with Xian beasts. Higher-level Xian beasts could suppress lower-level Xian beasts. If the Xian beasts were one level higher, the lower-level Xian beasts would not even dare to move. The dragon demon was so strong that the average beast kings could not stand it. Of all the Xian beasts in the Heaven Reverse universe, Little White was the only one that could stand the dragon demon's energy. Since Little White had consumed divine energy, it was fundamentally different from the average Xian beast. Dragon demon, do you want to eat this snake? Pointing to the dragon demon, Luli asked. Little White called out to the dragon boa. The dragon boa seemed to have understood. It trembled in fear, and its huge eyes were filled with terror. The dragon demon threw them a glance, still filled with disdain. Luli slapped his forehead, speechless. Beast kings had strong energy in their bodies. Regular people could live to 100 years old after eating the meat of beast kings. How come the dragon demon was not interested? Little White, ask him what he wants to eat. Luli waved his hand in annoyance. Little White squeaked. All of a sudden, the dragon demon turned to Lu Ling with greed in its eyes. *T, courting death. Luli took out a huge rod and smashed at the dragon demon's head. The dragon demon wanted to eat Lu Ling? How dare it! Bang! The dragon demon's head was smashed, but it did not tremble. It did not fight back. The dragon demon just looked at Luli, feeling wronged. Bang bang bang! Luli swung the rod for a few more times but gave up in the end. The dragon demon would not feel any pain no matter how hard he smashed at it. Instead, his hands were numb. Let's go. Since the dragon boa was left behind by the Lu family and there were so many Earth Immortal Realm warriors in the Lu family, the dragon boa would not cause any trouble. Even if the dragon boa made a breakthrough, the Earth Immortal Realm warriors could deal with it. Squeak, squeak! Little White suddenly cried. Luli had just put away the dragon demon. Little White kept squeaking and waving its paws. Luli asked with confusion, "Little White, what are you trying to say? I don't understand." Whoosh! Little White dashed out all of a sudden. Luli followed it. Little White was looking around as if it was looking for something. Luli and the others were baffled. Little White flew for a day and a night. Little White seemed to be looking for something but could not find it. All right. Luli was not fully recovered yet. He could not go on like this. Luli thought about it and said, "Little White, what are you looking for? Let Patriarch 8 go with you. I am tired. Let's go back to the city of mystic armor. I will wait for you there." Little White nodded. Luli asked Patriarch 8 to go with him. Luli flew back to the city of mystic armor with Jiang Qiling and the others. Back at the city of mystic armor, Luli began to read books, trying to find information about beasts like the dragon demon and see if he could find its favorite food. At the same time, he asked the Lu family to search for strange mystical materials to see if the dragon demon would eat them. She sent a message to the Inferno, planning to get something from the Inferno and the deserted world to see if the dragon demon would eat them. Finding food for the dragon demon had become Lu Li's top priority. The dragon demon was as strong as a semi-god realm warrior. If trained, the dragon demon could defeat many semi-god realm warriors. On the other hand, without food, the dragon demon would be weakened. By then, it might not even be able to defeat Earth Immortal Realm warriors. In 3 or 4 years, all the warriors of the Mage Imperial Universe would come. Semi-god realm warriors from the Central Imperial Universe, Earth Imperial Universe, Divine Imperial Universe and the 5 small universes would come as well. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.